Okay, welcome. First episode. We're live.
There you go, baby.
Why can't wait? Okay, that's why I can hear. There's just a slight delay. But we should be good to go. So we watched Apex last night. What you doing? Can you hear me? Uni, can you hear me? Uni, I don't think you can hear me anymore. Hello? What happened?
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Hold on.
Testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's
Uni?
like there's a huge delay. Hold on. Hold on. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Thoughts?
Um, well, wait, now your avatar is not moving anymore.
I can hear you, but hold on. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Well, it feels like it's a very
I can
delayed.
hear you. You can't hear me?
It feels like it's super delayed. I think
I
you're listening to
I
the
can hear
audio.
you.
Yeah, it's super delayed. I think you're listening to the audio from the stream.
Yep. Oh, I'm back on the other side. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. But how delayed is your hearing of me is the problem.
I think I can hear you okay.
Okay, that
My
sounded
eye,
much better.
that emoticon or whatever you want to name it, my eye is twitching.
Well, you lost control of it. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden now it's not registering the tracking. I don't know what happened. Oh wait, there we go.
Yep.
Is it back? Say something? Yes,
I don't.
you're back. Your
Yeah,
tracking is back.
that's so weird because I don't see it. Ah, now I see my mouth moving.
So what you're seeing is lagged. That's why I said mute the YouTube. The YouTube is going to be like 5 to 10 6 seconds delayed. So you're not seeing it live.
Oh, wait, maybe I should watch it on my phone. Then I don't. Maybe then the connection will be better on my computer. Hold on.
Yeah, you can.
Hold on. You hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh, now I see it way better. Now oh, okay. I need to mute that.
when you can you when you
Yeah,
do
there's a
that,
small delay. Hold on. I'm gonna mute. Yeah, there's a small delay. Hold on. I'm gonna mute. How the fuck can I mute this now? Jesus fucking Christ. How the fuck can I mute this? Jesus. Oh, just. You can still hear me, right?
Yes, I can still hear you.
Oh, you know what I can do? I can follow it on my iPad. That's way better.
No, you should do it on your phone and use mobile data if you can. Do you have like unlimited mobile data, or does it charge you to use mobile data?
No, it's not an internet thing because it's perfectly here.
Okay.
Does it?
Yeah, no, you're
hands
in perfect sync. Your hands are going up.
Oh my God, this
So
is
when
so cool.
when you watch the video back, it's gonna be in sync. Were you talking and your hands going up is gonna be in sync. It just right now there's like a 10 to 15 second buffer.
Okay, hold on. Let me get my puffer.
Okay, so now mind you, when you get your own custom avatar, we can do this exact same thing with an avatar that you want to build. So now we know what we're looking for. This one kind of has like a mystic psyche vibe to it, so that's why I was like, let's do this.
Yeah, cool.
What should I refer to you as while we're on stream? My name's Mochi. Pleasure to meet you, and everybody else tuning in for the first time to our first Friday night movie TV show review.
Oh, my name is Jezebel.
Your name is Jezebel. Okay, let me write that down because I am going to forget in one ear, out the other. Yeah, you couldn't have picked an easier name, Jezebel?
It's one of my many nicknames.
Jezebel it is. Okay.
Jezebel, or we could go with expensive sushi. That's another one.
Oh, I like expensive sushi. No, Jezebel. Jezebel.
Yeah.
So, I watched Apex last night. I have to say, it's a bit of a hype movie for me. It was a good thriller. Like I was at the edge of my seat the entire time. Very well executed. Love the entire cast, right? I have nothing to say about Charlize or about the main guy. Taron, is that his name? What's his name?
Yeah, Taron Egerton, I think.
Egerton, yeah. But the movie itself just felt a little hype to me. The whole it was a good watch, but it's not something that it's so the format of this review is we're doing one TV show and one movie a week. It's a hard juxtaposition between the two. And maybe that's an interesting analysis of this conversation. I resonated a lot more with Euphoria, which is interesting for me because I didn't necessarily love the first two seasons of this show. I understand that every generation has its kind of version of Euphoria. For me, it was Skins, and that was what I grew up on. So the first two seasons of that didn't really work for me. This third season is amazing. So I watched Apex off the high of this latest episode of Euphoria, and it wasn't really doing it for me. It was a really good thriller, but I just wasn't necessarily in the thriller headspace. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally get that. Totally get that. The only reason why I suggested it is because there's not that many high adrenaline movies anymore that like can keep you in that adrenaline or that like can grab your attention from A to Z. And I think in its genre, just when you look at that movie in its genre, I appreciate it. I appreciated the entertainment time that I invested in it, and I got huge stress and the water scenes, the run scenes, all that in terms of like an action movie. It all felt very credible to me. That's
100%.
another thing that's important for me in that genre.
See, nothing stuck out for you?
What?
Nothing stuck out for you?
Well, of course, the character of Taron, let me look that up, Taron Egerton.
I think that's his name, yeah.
Yeah, let me double check that. But
Because I'm going to refer to my partner as Patricia moving forward. Patricia was like, the beef jerky so unrealistic. What do you mean he has like an Amazon production facility in a cave in the middle of nowhere making beef jerky?
yeah, I mean, when it comes to creeps, I watched too much crime documentaries that for me that is kind of credible and
I
definitely
also
we're
found
in a
it
script.
credible. Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't
and
like too big of a manufacturing line. It felt very mom and pop, and that's how you do dry meat. So it's like for me, it wasn't like sticking out as like
yeah.
super
Oh, okay.
uncredible.
What the dry meat was the meat thing was so obvious from the
From the
beginning. It
very
was
beginning, from the very
yeah, it
first
was
thing, I
clearly
was like, yeah,
planted.
yeah,
Absolutely. It was clearly planted. So that wasn't a surprise at all, especially if you watch those type of
yeah.
movies. That wasn't a surprise at all. That wasn't the how do you call it? The revelations of the body was not surprising at all. It was more of a confirmation of something that you would give that character from the very beginning. So, is this a movie that deserves a tremendous lot of weight when it comes to, the plot and when it's all revealed? Not really. I just saw two capable actors, capable enough to carry an entire movie, considering there's only two actors,
Hmm.
or mostly two actors. Clearly, the minute you know that Charlize produced it, you do know that. I do notice, and I see that with a lot of actors that produce their own movies, is that I feel that this type of movie is known territory for her, character-wise. So when I watched her performance, this is like, this is Charlize doing what she does. It's not like I was like, oh my God, Charlize performed this amazing. She just carries such a high standard from the type of actress that she is that I kind of expect that from her, which is a good thing. But this is why I previously also said that I felt a little bit. It spoiled it a little bit for me that I saw Taron Egerton in that HBO Arson series, because that's the first time I saw Taron Egerton really in a kind of disturbing role. And the minute I saw him on Apex, I was like, darn it, you, I know you can carry that energy. But he got the viral moment of the movie, the part with where the Chemical Brothers Go track plays in, and
100%.
he starts dancing and the crying, the tribal scream.
No, yeah, that
That
was great.
that was great. It's a great choice of a track for the director to plant that. I really like when a director can pick like the right track at the right moment, and that track is like tied to that movie or that series, and we can go then back to Euphoria. And the director made an excellent choice. It was so cool to hear Q-Tip's voice again. I was like,
Mm.
wait a minute, is this a new song? I was convinced it was a new song. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, no, this is not a new song. He's been doing those
Yeah.
tracks back in the day. And I kind of felt excited for Q-Tip. I was like, "Oh, cool! You're being like viral, and that track is getting reels. Everybody is using that for all type of meme content, and that's in a world where there's like a very short attention span, that did absolutely hype up the movie. Even though I saw all those reels after I saw the movie, because also with this type of movie, when I saw the trailer was convincing enough for me to go to Netflix and hits the notification that I wanted to see it the minute that it's out. Because if you wait too long with these type of movies, everything is spoiled, everything becomes a reel, and your movie experience is spoiled a week after the movie comes out because it's all online. So I knew I had to be quick with this one, but it, this is, for me, it's just like there's nothing to watch. What are we going to watch? Apex seems like a good time spent, and it was that, and I expect that from action movies, and I miss that in action movies today because they're so ridiculous. There's not a lot of old-fashioned good action movies anymore. I mean, at least in my opinion. Maybe I don't stumble upon them anymore. Maybe that's an issue. But yeah, for me, Taron Egerton was the quote unquote main character of the movie. And when it was done and she found her way back, also the rock scene when she had to climb back up, that was also I believed it. Like, there's not a second I was like, oh, she's hanging,
Oh
same
yeah, no, that
thing.
was that was phenomenal. Like
It
I
was,
wanted
yeah,
to crawl out of my skin. That's how
yeah, yeah.
horrifying
You
that moment was.
felt the tension. So yeah, for me, it was like job well done. The director to actors. That's a classic. I think back in the day when you would rent movies, I think that movie would be rented out a lot.
Oh, 100%. A
Yeah,
100%. I think that that's definitely something people would binge. It's a very bingeable film.
absolutely. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to share about that, but
There was just a couple of moments that felt a bit contrived, like the ending with the radio and her like hearing about it and then turning it off. I was like, did we really need that? There was elements that I did like. Part of the film I was questioning, well, the majority of the first part of it, why did this happen? Like after she just lost her partner, um, what could have possessed this woman to possibly do this? And I like that we found that out through the dialogue of the film, that he kind of stalked her, and he was the one that let us know that her partner was from this region, and she was essentially doing this in tribute to him. And then we found out that it wasn't like a narcissistic choice to just continue to do it, but it was her guilt that was driving her to do it when she was laying there at night when he first broke his leg and she was laughing about the whole situation. So there was
yeah,
elements of it
it's
that I appreciated it, but then there was elements of it that just made it feel a bit blockbuster. Like they just tried to tie the bow a little too neatly for us in certain aspects of it that I don't know. What do you? I don't know.
I totally get it.
Not
I
everything
agree.
has to
I
be
agree.
groundbreaking, you know.
Exactly. That's not how I approach this movie at all. Because the movie is built up in such a way you immediately get what it is. It's also Netflix, so it's probably produced rather quickly.
100%. Yeah.
I think it's an return on invest type of movie, quick production. I'm not really sure, but I would have to look it up. But most Netflix movies are like, what we call prefab. It's like quickly produced, quickly edited, ready for consumption. That's how I approached it. I think as a producer's credit for Charlize, I'm like, good on you. Um, as a woman producing with a lot of eyeballs on you, there's always this, calculation somewhere in some back end room with executives. Like, is she going to manage to get the eyeballs to the movie? And she's a strong enough lead. And as a producer, she probably had her pick in who is her co-star. She picked the right co-star. She picked a good director who, managed their dynamics very, very well. But all the other things you said, how the movie is built up, for me, I knew quite immediately that this was like a healing trip. especially with the references to The Watch or whatnot. I also appreciated that there's like a small cameo from Oscar Isaac. I love him. I'm just, every time his face appears somewhere, I'm going to watch, and I didn't know he was in the movie.
So is Oscar Isaac the first weird dude? Like the dude that like shows up in her car?
I think Oscar Isaac was her partner that she lost on the mountain.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where do we know him from?
Oh, we know him from Marriage.
Me and Patrick,
Marriage
where do we
Story.
know this guy from?
No, not Marriage Story. Oscar Isaac, we know him from Dune. We know him from that movie with Jessica. Oscar Isaac. In Dune, he plays the father of Timothée Chalamet. We know him of Ex Machina. You know him from Frankenstein. I still have to watch that movie, though. You know him from Beef. He recently did Beef second season, which he was great at, because I haven't seen him in a character like that. He was phenomenal in Scenes from a Marriage. Yeah, I absolutely love him as an actor. I think he is one of those people who can really play it all without being stereotypical himself all the time. He's also in A Most Violent Year, another one with Jessica Chastain. Yeah, I really love him as an actor. So it was fun to see him in a little cameo in the beginning, but as you mentioned, then the movie needs a wrap up, and you don't watch for the wrap up, and I didn't watch for the plot. I watched for the thrill, and that is just what the character is all about. She's an adrenaline junkie, and adrenaline junkies, can go about it alone or too fast or make fast decisions and just want to go. And that was like tied into her character, that sometimes she takes reckless decisions, and in extreme sports it's not always good to go about it alone. And then it's Australia, and I have never been there, but from what I know and what I read, it's like the outback. There's crazy people, there's crazy animals. This is a dangerous place. When people say don't go there alone, maybe not the best idea to go there alone. But yeah, she's a strong woman and all that. All these tropes were in there. But she was also arrogant and an adrenaline junkie. And I watched to get the same fix that she gets. And I got it. I was tense the entire movie. And then the wrap up, I was like, whatever, bye.
Yeah, the wrap up was it was just unnecessary.
And sometimes movies are okay to be like that. I am personally not always watching a movie just to get like an epiphany, or sometimes
100%.
Just want to be entertained
100%.
Without ideology, without a political message, just entertain me. What is it like? Are we entertained yet? Yes. Apex.
Yes.
Entertained.
That being said, I don't think that those are the only two paradigms, right? I think that there's other categories of which I enjoy watching things to feel inspired. I don't think that, and that's a perfect transition into the next subject of the show, because I don't think that Euphoria is very politically driven, but this season I think is very inspirational on a lot of levels.
So we're pivoting to Euphoria?
We're pivoting.
Okay, let's give the audience a still.
Yeah, I'm switching now. And I'm not going to go for a still. We're going to go for the... one of, I think, the most beautifully shot references to old Hollywood that I've seen in a really long time. The Cassie Zilla sequence.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Stunning. The Jessica Lange Godzilla vibes. Just the beauty of it all. I really wasn't expecting for the I think Sam gets a really shitty rep, and I do want to call out, some of the problematic aspects of how the show itself was made from the beginning, but that has to stand aside from what it is that we as a consumer are ingesting and what it's doing for just the collective psyche. Because although it is fucked up that this entire thing was built off of the back of somebody else's vision, be it the people who originally created and wrote the Israeli show Euphoria, or the visual aspects of Petra F. Collins that he completely ripped off, hired to develop the first season, then fired her and said that she's too young to then release all of her work under his own name. Those politics stand aside.
I saw this show has so much drama and so much drama angles that you really have to cut through the noise when it comes to cost dynamic or so-called cost dynamics. Stan culture from certain characters. Quotes from certain actors that said that they didn't have enough, roles in comparison to other actors from this Euphoria. Like, then the reference of the photographer. I think I know who you refer to, but I don't know that the story about it. I don't know if it's correct or. I don't know it, so I'm trying to.
Oh, it's real. I mean, she's come forth. There's contracts. There's proof. They hired.
It's really like that.
No, yeah. She worked for a year. She moved to LA. She worked for a year on the show. She developed the full image. They shot the first season, and then she was told, "We're no longer moving forward with this in your direction. You're too young to direct a show for HBO." That was the reason that they fired her, and then they released really all of her stuff.
The aesthetic that apparently is her signature aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, you see it from her work, like, and she's a very successful photographer within our industry, right?
Can you reference something
Petra
that you see
Collins?
that we can see?
Yeah, let me pull it up. You're right. Petra F. Collins, Euphoria comparisons. There's a billion articles about this.
Oh, damn.
There's one picture that's very clear. This. So this was Petra's private work that she was approached to for the show. This upper image. And then this was the promo that was literally released for the first season of Euphoria. So this is her private work. That Sam literally reached out, and she posted the DM. Sam reached out and after seeing this picture and said, "I wrote a show based off of these images." So he first lied to her and said that he wrote the show, which he didn't, because it was an already made Israeli show. And this is the promo for that season that she worked on.
Right. I see it.
And it's just one of the things that made Euphoria different than the previous iterations of this kind of show. Because I grew up on the Skins version of this. And there's been versions of this type of show, this teenage anxiety, this rebellious youthfulness prior. Every generation has had its version. I grew up on the Skins version. What made this so distinctly different than its prior iterations was its visual language. It was what was so, I think, risky about a show like this was because they tried to do like a US Skins, right? When you start to inject Hollywood and oversight and budget into something that feels so real for teenage angst and society, the message gets convoluted between the branding and all of that. What Euphoria was for that younger generation was a really well executed version of that, where you got access to the budgets and to the glitz and glam, but it didn't overshadow the underlying tone and for some relatability. I was already a little aged out for the first two seasons when watching it, but it was visually stunning, and I watched it from a cinematic standpoint. My favorite episode of season 2 was...
That's what you said to me. You said to me, I didn't want to watch it because I felt I outgrew high school type of shows, and you said, no, you should watch it for the cinematography, for the score, and all that. And you were exactly right. I loved everything about it. regardless if the team was high school and I'm outgrown of those type of teams, like really center focused teams like that. No, absolutely. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, I mean that's what drove me to the first and the second season. First season, the party scene with Nate, the one shot, gorgeous. Second season, the Maud Apatow episode, the theater, absolutely stunning. And that's what this recent episode, I believe, is it episode 6 or 8? I can't remember. The one that released most recently was. It felt like the Maud Apatow episode. It felt like an extension of that theatrical representation. The Cassie Zilla scene, goosebumps, literally just thinking about it right now. It must kind of suck being associated with that cast and all the controversy that's going around and the fact that every single interaction is nitpicked and dissected. And it's almost, I don't know, it's hard to separate these things because nothing lives in a vacuum and certain things should be taken into consideration. But as a consumer, viewing the final product, I almost don't care, right? Like, would I want it to be different? Would I want Sam to have been removed from the show and for this episode to have been different because of the political correctness of today's age and because of what could be hearsay and gossip? I don't know. I wasn't in these rooms. No. My answer
Yeah,
is no.
I'm not, there's a huge trend online where stan people or, where people get clouds to just break down things. And, I'm all about, constructive criticism, but the first episode went out and on Twitter, everybody and your mama was bashing it. And this is like, then I talked to a random person and it was about Euphoria. And then this person was immediately talking about, how disgusting it was that Sydney Sweeney was portrayed in this type of way. And then I was like, but did you watch it? And it's like, oh no, I just saw a clip. And I'm like, that's all what this is. All these opinions are based of one minute clips, and people, one episode is out and people go on their iPhones or the Samsungs and just pow out opinion that is negative. And I respect things that come out because I know how hard it is to make something and get something made. And this is, in a way, to me, content you don't see that often anymore. So when I saw the entire hate train, I was like, oh, shit, here we go again, so I was like, fuck all of y'all. I'm going to watch it regardless of all the hate. And I watched the first episode and I was like, see, y'all are just a bunch of fucking haters. Or yeah. I am once more the opposite opinion of the entire world, obviously. Because I kind of liked it.
It's kind of, I don't, there is this like mainstream wave in society of kind of pearl clutching at the moment again, which seems so weird to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, this show is disturbing, quote unquote, from the very beginning.
It's not though. That's the thing. It's like, how is Hollywood having that conversation when things like a Serbian film exist, when things like Gaspar Noé exists? It's like things have been so hypersexualized forever, right? For me, anything that Sam's done has not been that radical, controversial, overtly sexy, none of it.
Oh, well, the only thing that I thought was just incredibly dumb and stupid was The Idol. That's the only thing.
I don't think that was that controversial either.
No, I don't think it was controversial, but I felt like it was shot to be controversial. And that horrible character from The Weeknd, it was just horrible watching him. I couldn't. And listen, what's the actress, her name? Lily Rose Depp. I mean, all by all, in a way, she did a great job, but That show, I was not having it whatsoever. It didn't resonate. It just was too much aesthetics, not enough, you know. I couldn't care for the life of me about these characters. Not one of them, just not one of them. So he got. I remember that the controversy kind of started like with him, with the director, like at that time, you know. That's when I saw a lot of hate about him, that it was too sexualized and blah blah blah. And when I say controversial, it's not really controversial for me at all, actually. It is what you say. It's like the pearl clutching, but the whole pearl clutching vibe is also like hypocritical. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're all clutching your pearls because they portray an OnlyFans? I thought women did with their bodies what they want, and having an OnlyFans is empowering. What is it now?
And
like,
let me say
what?
this. Let me say this really quickly, because a lot of 1 second, my fucking lighter doesn't work. Oh my god. Okay. So there was a lot of controversy online, a lot of comments about his portrayal of sex work and how degrading it is and what it's doing to sex work. And I have to say that in this last episode, some of the writing in that show propelled the perception of sex work 10 steps further than anything else so far. And it's funny because Margot Has Money Problems is something else we wanted to review on this channel, and we should probably do next week, because there's a lot of lines that can be drawn, right? It's a similar subject matter lens through a different perspective. And I had thought that it was maybe better for the community off rip, but with what Maddie did with what's his name? God damn, what's Rue's boss's name? I totally forgot now.
Rue's boss's name. Yeah. Hold on.
Rue's boss's name in the new season. Alamo. What Maddie did with Alamo in this last season, nobody else has done that so far. Clearly drawing the line of how much money OnlyFans and sex work has made in juxtaposition to how much money Hollywood has made, and how much money is on the table. I'm sorry, Hollywood actors and actresses were perceived as whores as well, until so much money was made that they decided to rebrand that shit to make it palatable for the masses to make more money. We live in a capitalist world. That is the bottom line of everything that we talk about, the reason that we're here on this stream, and everything that the world revolves around. So I think by making that very clear.
Hold on, wait a minute. I'm not on this stream because of capitalism. I don't know where you draw that line, but I'm not here. I'm here for fun.
But yeah, I just think it was actually really powerful, having that blatantly drawn out.
I thought it was a great angle as well. I was like, it made me think, and I was like, holy fuck, yeah, of course. But I mean, I think this is already happening. I think that line is already happening in some way or another. Somebody who, you know, is into was into prostitution and has multiple women, might force them to also do that. You know, it's still a form of exploitation, because, you know, what is the cut for these women that are selected now in the club? What is their cut? Are they going to make more money than the other girls now? Or, you know, it seems like Alamo and what's her name? Maddie are going to make a lot of money off of it. I don't know, or what was it, 30% each, 15%, and then costs and expenses, camera gear and all that, what would remain for the girls, you know? And one thing about OnlyFans that I did appreciate is that, you know, a lot of people who have no knowledge of the subject think that is just super easy. I was once on a beach with different women, and they were joking, like just grown women with children, and they were joking and saying like, I mean, I could make an OnlyFans And they were like, yeah, I could make so much money because they heard somebody has an OnlyFans is making a lot of money. And I was like ready to pop that balloon. And I was like on the beach and I was like, oh, really? You want to do an OnlyFans? Yeah. So you got to have a camera set up. You got to do some editing. And then a big part of the OnlyFans is the communication with your fans. A lot of it. It is a constant attention that gives the money. And then the request comes, and where do you draw the line? Where are you going to start with your feet? Because that was, I'm just going to post my feet. It's like, yeah, but then you're going to have the conversations about, okay, maybe I want some yellow nail and toenails. And then you're going to have to ask your husband to buy a cake because now you have to stamp in the cake. And then we're going to have to, buy some gel and then some goo. And then maybe at some point you're going to get asked to, put your feet in some feces and all that, and then the mood completely changed on the beach, and I was like, you ready you're up for that? Because that's what it is. Like, that is probably not for everybody. You have like that actress from The Sopranos who was apparently very outspoken about not being vaccinated in 2020. She got ousted from all her shows, and
Who are we talking
her
about?
house was the legendary actors that got killed in The Sopranos. The one with all the Versace.
Jennifer Milfy.
No, Drea de Matteo.
Andrea de Matteo. There we go.
Yeah. And she kind of had I think a show on TV. She spoke out about COVID. And she lost her job. She spoke out about COVID and not wanting to take the vaccine. And back then, as an actor, you either got vaccinated or lost your job. And if you spoke out about it, you lost your job immediately. And she was like, her house went into foreclosure. She has children. And she said, yeah, I'm going to go on OnlyFans. And oh my God, the judgment. She was, completely judged for that. And then she went on a TV show or a talk show or I don't know what, the few places she was still welcome. And she was like, I'm just, posting the same type of pictures that I'm posting from my character that I was in Sopranos. And they're just like fun, sexy pictures. And instead of posting them on Instagram, I have all my fans now going to OnlyFans, still only wanting those exclusive pictures that remind them of my character in The Sopranos. And I was able to buy back my house, or something like that. And I was like, that's another story about OnlyFans. And I was like, you go, girl. I was like making money off of your fandom in a way that Instagram couldn't provide. You probably don't have enough residuals. She had an epic character on The Sopranos. I was like, you invested so much time. Your character was abused terribly on that show. Go empower that character on OnlyFans, and good for you that you bought that house because you managed to bring all your fans, and your fans helped to get your house back in a wholesome way, and it just happened to be on OnlyFans. I even know an astrologer that exclusively worked on OnlyFans just because of how the platform is built and how the monetization is built. That person is not selling porn at all, or not everything on OnlyFans is even porn. But yeah, so I was like, all the criticism, and I just felt it was just like more targeted bullying for what's her name, Sydney Sweeney. It's like a free fall for her. It's like, yeah, let's bully her. We're all so liberated and we're all so kind. But yeah, we all agree that we can bully that woman for just because she did an ad that we don't like. And it's constantly, it keeps on going. And when I then see all the the scenes Sam gave her, or the director gave her, I do feel that he kind of rode the hate wave, because I feel the scenes are written in such a way that he knew that they would hate her even more. Yeah, because let's be real, I think she's the show stealer of the show right now.
100%.
You know?
100%.
Yeah, and then I look at those scenes and I'm just trying to put myself in her place, and I'm like, fuck, I wouldn't have the balls for what you did, because this is risky material. This is some risky material for you as an actress in the storm that you are already in. And I felt like they came together and they maybe discussed these type of scenes, and the director is like, you sure you're up for that? And she probably said, fuck them, let's do it, you know. And knowing
which I respect
that,
so much. Which I respect so much.
It
Like posing
the
in that
director is
American
like,
flag, given what the current stigma of her as a Republican plant and like this rednecked bigot is, was such a risky move, because it's like, you know, that that's going to be the first bullet in the barrel for this specific hate train, right? That's going to be so miscontextualized. You're literally giving them exactly what they want.
Exactly. I felt like he tried to incorporate the term of rage baiting
100%. Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. Well, so this is an interesting segue into a conversation that I had last night with who we're referencing as Dr. Lecter. That's his online name. That's a previous member of this household who you're friends with, that we invited to this chat but isn't here today. Do you know who I'm talking about? Okay.
Yes.
Last night we were talking, and it's so, I don't know how we got onto this topic, but we're talking about porn, and OnlyFans and stigmas and all of that. And he was.
I think we should. You're gonna have to bleep that out. The word out.
Well, I mean, this is live.
The word POR. Yes, but your video might be flagged.
Really?
I know that. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about adult content or
adult content or corn.
Corn. Okay. So, we were talking about corn and what and I don't know how it came up, but he was like, it was like, it's crazy. The girls that he would go for in real life have nothing to do with the girls that he looks at when he's watching corn. And I'm like, that's such an interesting thing. Like, have you unpacked that? Because like, he's also the type of person that likes a fancy car. He has like a very, very fancy car. And I was like, no judgment here, but to me that shows a disalignment in your desires and how you want your desires to be perceived, right? Like, when you're alone in just your thoughts, he likes a fuller body, things that might look a little bit more done up, but in real life he would never be attracted to any of that. He doesn't like any work done. Like, it's not something that's appealing to him. So we unpacked that actually for a while last night, because I came from an angle of all aesthetic choices are equal, and it's unilateral from my point of view. For me, it's overarching to what some might think is an unreasonable degree, but I think that, you know, you want to be a dog, woof. If you think that you want to present as a woman but you're a man, then it's the same thing to me as if you want to wear a black hoodie or a gray hoodie that day. It's an aesthetic choice. What's important for me is just acknowledge that as that and why that's important, right? Like, the majority of these things are being done because of how somebody wants to be perceived in their society, because it's really hard to convince me at this point that anybody has a case of body dysmorphia that genuinely forces them to feel a certain type of way. They feel that type of way because of how they're perceived by their surrounding. That to me is the bottom line of that. I don't know how I got into this tangent now.
I'm just hearing you out, bro. I mean,
no, yeah,
the only thing I have feedback from that is, I would say, very deep. But the only thing I remembered was he drives a certain car, and your perception of that car leads to other type of, I think, assumptions, where my view on that is that certain men just like a very nice car.
Right. No, but that's a sentence. Now, what lies behind that sentence, right? Like, what drives somebody to perceive something as nice? That's the underlying question here, right? Like, why do we perceive certain luxuries or certain things or commodities as nice or better than worse than others? It's because of perception, right? And what drives that underlying perception? What makes a Porsche better than a Ferrari?
I mean, I think that is,
There might be
that could,
mechanical, yeah, and it might
absolutely,
come
I
down to
think,
RPM, but I think that a lot of that, and
exactly.
specifically what you just said, certain men like nice cars. There's societal tropes that are embedded in in our culture. Why didn't you say certain people? You said certain men. There's definitely women who like luxury cars as well. I don't think it's a gender bias, right? But there's the gender trope within our society that certain men at a certain age like a fancy sports car.
Right. And how do you tie this into Euphoria?
Perception. The perception that we acknowledge and the perception that we're okay with people understanding that we perceive. And I think that Sam towed that line with Sydney very finely and led us into that little window. Like, I think that they acknowledged in a very Tarantino way the inner thoughts of the human psyche and didn't shy away from it.
Yeah, I can totally follow you there. I think he goes into all these deep, dark corners of, people, sexuality, fame, attention to, the dopamine rush that you get when the happiness that Sydney Sweeney gets or her character gets when there are followers. It's like a confirmation of her being good at something. Um, you know, um, um, and I appreciate it all. I'm not offended about anything. I thought the giant woman reference I really enjoyed it. A little bit too long for me, but I absolutely enjoyed it. And then I watched the making of, and apparently they built the city of Los Angeles in miniature
Yeah.
for a year, and I
Yeah.
was like, God damn, that's a lot of budget. And then I'm like, oh, that is so cool for
So
all the
cool.
people who are able to work on that, and that's like a context and a backstory that I think this generation doesn't really care about, and I really care
Oh my
about
God, I
how
appreciated it
things
so
are
much.
made. What?
I appreciated it so much. Like, that didn't need to be that, right? Like, that didn't need to be that at all. That analogy of Cassie growing out of her current life, growing out, being too big for her britches, that her stardom is growing faster than she can cope with, didn't need to be portrayed in that way at all. At all.
Exactly. Maybe you should, use a still so the viewers can see what we're referencing with the
Right.
giant woman, and then like the poster.
We already have it here. Yeah. It was
We have
open for.
the older poster
Oh,
from the
right.
giant woman. Yeah.
You mean the Jessica Lange?
Oh yeah, I think it's the Jessica Lange thing probably. Yeah. I kind of forgot that it was Jessica Lange on that movie poster.
Well, is it? I don't know. What are you
Oh, no, no,
referencing?
no, no, no. I'm going to show you. No, it's a reference to um um let me this is what it references. Hold on. It's Attack of the 50 Feet Women. It's a retro vintage movie. Look that up. Attack of the 50-Foot Women. Woman, sorry.
Here we go. Here's the side by. No, that's Lana Del Rey. They're calling it Cassizilla. And that's what I understood too, that it was like a Godzilla King Kong reference. It's just Cassie
Yeah,
is
well, look
Godzilla.
it up. Attack of the 50-Foot Women.
Here.
That's not the original one.
Huh.
That's a reference, but that's not the original one. If you see the original one, it's like with a 60s woman in a white
Yeah, it's here.
two-piece.
There you go.
That one, the first one.
Is there a remake?
So that's an image that I've seen somewhere 1,000 times in my life. And that's what my first like was like, oh right, that's that. And I really appreciated that reference. I love like hidden gems like that. But
Wait,
you
that's
know,
amazing. There is a new Tim Burton adaptation with Margot Robbie set to star in it.
oh no, not Margot Robbie.
You don't like Margot Robbie?
I'm just a little bit overexposed with her.
I love Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
I even sat through Wuthering Heights because of her.
Yeah, no, nothing against her, but I'm just a little bit overexposed to her. It's just like, you know,
You just said, I think, you just said, I'm just Elizabeth overexposed to her.
oh, yeah, it's just, yeah. So yeah, so I appreciated that. And another actor that another character that I really appreciate right now, even though the criticism that it's such a stark difference from how he was in the first 2 seasons, is Jacob Elordi's role. I just really enjoyed those scenes when he got beat up
Beat the
with the
fuck up.
toe and
Yeah,
all
no,
that.
no. It's like, thank you. Thank you for giving this to us. This is what we needed. It also makes zero fucking sense. You know, it's like he's
It makes no
like
sense.
6 feet taller than both of those guys that came after him.
Yeah.
He could have fucked them up. Also, like, when he sees the guy breaking into his house, why in the hell would he run upstairs? Why wouldn't he just run out the front door into the street where other people will see him? You know, not the most, but also like it's what we wanted, and thank you. Like, I wanted him to get fucked up. He needed to get fucked up. What I don't understand is like what happened to the storyline between him and what's her name? Oh my God, Hunter. What's Hunter's character's name? I can't remember. Hunter is.
I don't remember.
It's not showing up. Jules. What happened to their storyline? That's what's not making any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a criticism that we could say is that, you know, one of the main criticism I saw from the very beginning, it doesn't make any sense, and all these characters have weird storylines, and in a way, I kind of have to give it to the critics to say, like, yeah, it's true. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm still waiting for everything to be tied together. And controversial opinion, I do not care at all for the lead of the entire show. I don't care for her character. I don't know why. I don't care what happens with Rue. I don't care at all.
Really? Not even in this, because I historically have not one bit. This season, I'm a little bit more invested. I wouldn't say it necessarily Rue, but just everything surrounding Rue. Like, for me, it obviously Cassie is stealing the show, but Maddie is right up there with her. She's getting way less screen time, but I'm so much more invested in Maddie's storyline. I think that she's the most interesting one. And then Alamo. So it's like, that's kind of what I'm here for. I want to see what happens with the strippers. I don't really care too much about what's happening in Hollywood with Cassie, but it also seems like that's somewhat of the subplot. I read an online theory that Cassie didn't read the contract. Maddie now is going to completely fuck her over, and she's going to end up working for Alamo Cassie as payback. But I just don't see Cassie doing that because Cassie just wants to make money. Or sorry, Maddie. I don't see Maddie doing that because Maddie just wants to make money. If she can milk Cassie for a Hollywood career and get Cassie what she wants and make money doing it, she's going to do that. I don't think she cares enough to spite her. Even if she were to get a better girl from Alamo now that could take Cassie's place, she would just make double the money. That's who Maddie Perez is.
Yeah, I can't remember too much of the character arc in the 2 seasons previously. I just know that, it's a classic scenario where 2 best friends fall out.
They're not best friends.
Because the boyfriend, a man became between them. And
they're not best friends though. I mean, they were high school friends, and it was a high school relationship, and I think that that's also an important thing that's kind of portrayed through it all.
Exactly, but in high school, these types of emotions and these types of life events are visceral, and when those things happen, mostly in real life, you don't reconnect, and how they got reconnected in a way was plausible enough for me, considering the sheer desperation of Sydney Sweeney's character. So I accepted them coming back together, and then there's also the reference at the wedding where Maddie was clearly more emotionally affected by it than she thought walking into that wedding. And you are right. She is the second character I'm waiting to see again. And I absolutely love her close-ups, and I definitely was impressed by her small play when she was in opposite Alamo at the table. It's not easy to have a close-up on you and then have that very subtle facial expressions that she did, where she clearly was ignoring Rue, her cue to leave the table, and was softly, sneakily, but elegantly fishing what Alamo was all about. And, I really enjoyed that scene with her. I saw that, and I, suddenly started thinking about all those posts that I've seen, that it's such a scandal that Maddie is not getting enough roles because she's Latin and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, listen, that small scene at that table could get her a lot of roles. I saw an elevation or an exaltation of her skill set in such a small scene. She was so convincing. I could immediately see her in so many other things.
100%.
She would be if there would ever be a show like Sopranos again, she could be in it. I don't think she needs to worry about her career whatsoever. I do notice she had a lot of Capricorn placements, a little bit. And then I know with Capricorn, it takes time, girl. It takes time. Take your time. This is a person that will have a career over time, That's what I believe. What is her name? Maddie?
Alexa Demi.
Alexa Demi, yeah. I think she's definitely going to find her way. Absolutely. Because Zendaya is the main lead, and it has nothing to do with her. I mean, she plays it perfectly. I just don't care for the character. I don't. I'm just I don't know why. because all these characters are flawed, and I can't seem to find out why I'm not. It's just like, oh, there you are making another dumb decision and another one and another one and another one. You're so fucking reckless. And I just don't care for her. And then you see Cassie being just as reckless and Maddie just as reckless. And for some reason, those characters do keep me watching, you know, but every time it's back to, you know, in a way I was like, I felt like the character of Rue really needs an opposite player, because I'm just not interested in what nothing. Sounds so horrible. I'm sorry, Zendaya, but
It's funny that you say that though, because I feel the same way, but also it's not just, I think you like Jules feels that way about Zendaya in the show. She literally says that in the last episode. Like, what do you want from me? Like, you're so
Right.
like figure it out. You don't have an identity. You're the same fucking boring ass girl from high school. Do something about it.
Right. Maybe that's the character arc. Maybe this character is going to surprise me in some way or another, but I haven't. Maybe that is good writing, because I have very low expectations for that girl. The character, I mean. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're lost. Like, you know, and the scenes, you know, I was like, okay, we get the all the cowboy references, great. We get the duel, and that was enough for me. But then the whole scene with her head on the ground was unnecessary for me. For me, it should have been either or. But we are back again where she's put in a life or death situation, where I'm like, I think in real life, when we're talking about cartel and all that, I was just watching some type of podcast where a cop was telling that he was working undercover with like M13 cartel members, and he found out that, you know, they just they had a woman that was in the cartel talking to the cops. The cartel find out, they lure her to a bridge, and they cut out her. She was pregnant, and they cut out her baby and slit her throat and hang her on a bridge. I don't think in that world there's second chances at all, you know. So for me, it was like, what we're going to do is either or, you know. And even in The Sopranos or even in Breaking Bad, you know, I don't think, well, maybe in Breaking Bad they would also get away with it magically, but here I thought it was not necessary. This is where I was like, okay, this episode has a lot of over the top hype scenes a little bit. We had Anne, the big woman, and we had Anne, the headshot with the golf club and the horse, you know. And then I heard the actor saying like, and I trained for 6 months to be able to do that scene. And I was like, was that really necessary? You know, was that an expense well done? Probably as a producer, I probably would have said it's either or. Sam, it's either or. Pick a scene. We're not going
that's what I love about
have horseback rides for 6 months for the Alamo actor. No way, Jose.
I think that's what I appreciate about it. It feels like there wasn't those limitations. Like, from a aspiring director / cinematographer standpoint, like, one could only dream to be able to fully realize your ideas without the restrictions of a budget.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I totally follow you there. But for the story, I didn't think it was necessary at all. Because she's gonna live. She's not going to have her head clubbed.
Exactly. And we knew that Maddie was saving her.
We already had that tension. Is he going to shoot her? You know, it's like, it's the classic scene where, you know, where in the Middle Ages they put a woman against a tree and there's an apple or whatnot, and then they have to shoot an arrow, and then you live. It's just like, okay, we had that scene, I enjoyed it, and now there's another scene too soon, and for me it kind of took me out a little bit, you know. But when it comes
I
to,
guess when I think of the episode as a whole, though, it kind of tied it up as a bow, right? Because the beginning was Cassizilla that was so metaphorical and so out of place with reality. And it was one of those big banger scenes that we're talking about, right? And the middle kind of chilled out and gave us room to breathe. And then the end revved us back up and left us with this feeling of anxiety. You know, like
no, not for me. I thought it was a cheap cliffhanger just to lead you to the next episode, and it wasn't
I
necessary.
think it's a bit of a shtick, a gimmicky. It's coming
Absolutely.
across as gimmicky.
For me, it's either or. So it's either
I don't know
or.
if I agree.
What scene are you going to pick?
But why? Why? But I get where you're. But why is it either or? Like, what is forcing that paradigm? Is my question to you, because your first explanation was budgetary from a production standpoint. So in a world in which that did not exist, right? Let's talk AI, right? We can produce all of these alone at a computer screen with prompts. What is forcing that paradigm within your structure of either or is my question.
Does it advance the story, and is the cliffhanger placed at the right time, at the right moment? It's like it wasn't necessary for me.
Does it advance the story? This is an interesting one in a conversation with you and me, who are both storytellers, and I think tend to think a couple heads in advance of the average viewer, right? Because we obviously know that Rue's not going to die. We know that the whole episode, Maddie was forming that relationship with Alamo that's essentially going to be saving Rue, right? At some point, these guys got a call from Alamo while he was in the phone with Maddie and told them to call it off. But we're just going to scare her and see how much she really knows. That's what this tactic was. He was never going to kill her. He's going to scare her to see if she breaks and to see if she reveals something. Now, there's also a theory that I don't know his name, goddammit, the guy that's with her, the skinny guy, the skinny black guy with the afro. What's his name in the show? That he's a Fed, that he's undercover.
I had that. I was thinking about that as well.
Yeah, which I believe too. I do think that he's a Fed. So he wouldn't have let it happen as well. I think that everybody knew that was kind of a scare tactic. So does it advance the story? I think it does. I don't think that there was ever the intention for Rue to die in that way there. I think that it was always supposed to be to get Rue to literally shit her pants to see if she was going to break. And we still don't know if Rue is going to. Did Rue break? That's the question that we should be asking right now. I don't think she did.
No, I don't think she did neither. Talking about Fed, that interrogation scene that she did, I was weirdly distracted by one of the cops. So you have two cops, and one cop is clearly an actor you have seen in many other movies, and the other one I've never seen.
Like the Latino one we know, right? Like
what?
The Latino one we know, right? He's the famous one.
Yeah, he's an actor that you know, one of those very important actors that you have to have in your movies to make them credible, and you never know their names. You know, but they come on your screen and you're like, yes, makes total sense, great. And then there was the other actor, and at a certain point in the interrogation scene, I was like, whoa, you are, I don't know who you are, but you're dead staring this girl. Where does that dead stare come from? And then I found out this guy is an actual cop in LA, and I was like, that's why it was so convincing, that stare. He was really intimidating. And I was like, and then I saw him on a red carpet, and I was like, bro, you did a great job. Because I love, you know, I'm nerdy like that. And for me, you know, yes, you have leads, but all the other actors, the supporting actors, if one is badly cast, it can throw me off so badly. and he did an amazing job. That cop. He has like a rough face a little bit, and do Euphoria interrogation scene.
Can't find it. What's his name?
Hold on, let me check. Rue interrogation scene season 3. There you have him.
I literally typed in exactly that.
Here. He's on the left side of this, on the right side of the screen. And then with the one with the silver hair is indeed probably a Latin or Latin actor. And the other guy with the striped shirt is the actual cop. And at certain points, the silver-haired actor leaves and she's left with him and he stares at her so intensely. And I was like, damn, this is really, really good. Really good. And I appreciate things like that, you know, to have him as a real cop, a retired cop, a real, I think DEA, I think he's an actual DEA actor, and retired DEA agent. Well, yeah, with the lying back scene.
Yeah. Dang, I didn't realize that. That is pretty cool.
So yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I like that when directors take risks with, you know, everyday people who are not actors. I always appreciate that, you know, because it's hit or miss. And yeah.
Your camera frozen.
Yeah, what's coming? Is my camera frozen?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Hold on. That's probably because I opened a window. Hold on. If my camera is frozen, can you still hear me or not?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it will probably unfreeze as long as the audience can hear me. That's the most important thing. What else could we talk about with Euphoria?
Okay, unfrozen.
I think I'm back.
Yep. Well, I think that's kind of it.
Where do you think this is going? Because this is the last season. There's not going to be another season.
Yeah, I don't. Huh, that's an interesting question. I don't really think I've given that a ton of thought, to be honest. I think.
Oh, there's one thing we need to talk about.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I 100% agree with the critics. The director, I don't know what happened, but the artist that used to score Euphoria, what's his name?
Labyrinth. That sucked.
Labyrinth. Yeah.
Yeah, but they replaced him with Hans Zimmer. Like, damn, that sucks even harder. Like, damn.
What, you don't like Labyrinth?
No, I love Labyrinth. And I think it's so fucked up what they did. And also, to
we
get
don't
replaced.
We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened.
Labyrinth has been pretty open about it. Labyrinth has himself spoken up about it pretty openly.
But he didn't say he was basically the equivalent of a vague poster on Twitter. We don't know anything.
Yeah.
We don't know anything.
Yeah. Which I guess it's true.
What happened? The only thing we know is that he is not on the score. And I was like, there's something off. And I couldn't find what it is. And I saw the drama and I saw the posts going by and I saw everybody screaming bloody murder about it. And I was like, damn, he's not scoring. Well, that sucks for him. Oh, he's not on the premiere. Oh, goddamn. Oh, that sucks for him. What happened? Then I started watching episode 1, episode 2, and then I was like, what is missing? What is missing? The epic sounds that go, just like I mentioned with the Apex movie and the Chemical Brothers Go track. Euphoria had epic tracks that are connotated to certain scenes.
I mean,
and
Uni, it's really
this Hans Zimmer, no disrespect to the master, but this was not the show for him. And why would you make this executive music? What the hell happened to take such an important decision or cut in a creative cut in like a very, distinctive show that had that very distinctive music? What the fuck happened there? Because even when I really realized it, I saw a tweet from somebody that said, "Wow, they really did Labyrinth dirty." Is when Maddie walked into the wedding with that gorgeous green dress,
and I saw this, like, the parallel cuts to
little it. Sound on it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is like an epic moment fleeting away from my memory." I only see the visual. I see the dress. I see her walking. It is engraved in my memory, but there's no sound with it. For the life of me, I don't remember what the score was under there. It was just, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I saw a post on Instagram where somebody like replaced it with like old Labyrinth score from the previous seasons, and it was an epic shot with that old Labyrinth score. It is unfortunate. Who knows? I guess the presumption is that Hans Zimmer took the job once Labyrinth pulled out, but maybe they didn't even ask Labyrinth to do the 3rd season. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what the whole issue was. Maybe they jumped on someone like Hans in the hopes of elevating the season, because there is supposed to be a drastic difference, right? And who's to say that Labyrinth couldn't pull that off? I would want to know what would be Labyrinth's interpretation of this older, because everything's very youthful in the first 2 seasons because it's supposed to be high school, right? And you're supposed to feel that fleeting youth.
No. Labyrinth is like a multidisciplinary producer.
No, I know, but it's just like he developed a sound that was so unique to that time frame of those people's lives, and it worked and it resonated, and it's what tied the whole package together. There's no guarantee, because the sound.
We should show a picture of Labyrinth.
Yeah, the sound of the sound of this new season had to be drastically different, in the same way that the styling was different and the tone of everything else that went along with it was different. What is unfortunate is that we don't know if Labyrinth was good. Reason goes to stand that he would be able to pull that off. It's just we don't know because he wasn't given the opportunity, right?
He said Labyrinth clarifies he left Euphoria because people, I will not let people treat me like shit. And that's the vagueness of it all. People will comfortably lie in this industry. What is here? Why is this blurred, for fuck's sake? Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh, all this swearing. I don't think you can swear. Yeah, you can swear on YouTube. People will comfortably lie in this industry and still call themselves honest people. So no cap, I decided to remove whatever music I had in it. Okay, whatever music I had in it. So, okay. I spoke to HBO. As far as I know, we are cool. I left because, last truth, when I work for someone, their vision is paramount to me, but I don't let people treat me like shit. So who treated him like shit? The director? What?
I mean, I think the insinuation.
Fuck Euphoria, I'm out. Thank you and good night. Done this issue. Now, I know a thing or two about music history, and yeah, it is. And about how easily you can get replaced. I mean, I once was up for a job, and it was a job as a director for a fashion thing, for like a basic sporty brand thing. But I got the job, the first job that I did for that brand through the DOP. And the DOP was doing the entire production, and I was introduced to the client through the DOP, to be fair. And the client really, really loved me, loved the work, and I was informed that we were going on another work trip. It would have been my second, out abroad work trip with an entire crew, and it was suggested by the DOP, influenced by the DOP to the client, we should do this in, I think it was Iceland or Finland, but it was like an exotic, beautiful opportunity shot type of location. And what sometimes happens with, clients and the one who decides is sometimes DOPs can really suggest like exclusive locations to get certain shots to have them in their portfolio and convince the client to do that. Sometimes it happens.
Of course.
And apparently the client approved, and I was waiting for, as a good girl, to get the production rolling. And weeks went by, and then I saw a Instagram post of the DOP with an entire male crew on was it Iceland or Finland or whatnot, and I was completely quote unquote iced out. I wasn't informed. He didn't say, listen, I'd rather have this one with the boys because, you have DOPs that have their recce and then their technical crew and they're all homies. And I'm a female, and, he could have said that, but he didn't say anything. And I found out about it. And, that was a hard pill to swallow. I was like, oh, it's like that, huh? Oh, it's like that. So I think on that level, you get stories like that all the time. It's cutthroats. You depend on who makes the executive decisions. And sometimes people don't want to face each other and have their handlers do it or just ice you out. So what I read from the little experience I have, I wasn't surprised. I felt sorry for him. I think Labyrinth is a super creative soul. I watched interviews with him. I really like him as a human, as an actual human. I really like him. At least from what I saw from that interview. Of course, I don't personally know him. I met him once a long time ago before he was even, no, he was famous back then. He was a solo artist, and he was selling out a huge arena in the country where I'm from. So, yeah. So I felt like sorry for him, but more than I do, how cutthroat that industry is. And once, what is it? That fashion show, once one moment you're here and the next you're gone. What was it? Fashion runway fashion, or was that quote from Heidi Klum in that fashion show?
Project Runway.
One moment. Yeah, she had this quote, one moment you're here and the next you're out, or something like that. I don't know. But that's how that industry is.
It is.
There's no loyalty. There's really that mentality of like, I think maybe Sam thought that maybe there's a dynamic of, somebody thinking that they're too big for their shoes, and then another person's like, I'm going to show you how big you are for your shoes. Let's cut you out and I'll replace you with Hans Zimmer. I mean, there's so many theories, but I was like, I know how quickly things can go. One moment you're in, and the next you're out.
You're out. Yeah.
So, and it is a miss. So it is absolutely a miss for the show, because I do not understand the Hans Zimmer choice at all.
I think the goal with the choice with Hans Zimmer was just to get people not to question it, because it's like, you don't question it. It's Hans Zimmer. I
think Hans Zimmer has been questioned for the first time in his entire career.
Literally. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. It's probably not a gift for him as well. He's probably like, why the hell am I dragged into this?
Yeah. I don't think anybody has ever questioned a Hans Zimmer score. But it's
ever.
Like, yeah.
Ever. It's like, it's like, mostly it's like introduced like, Hans Zimmer is scoring the movie. It's like, what is it? Christopher Nolan booked Hans Zimmer to score his next movie. And everybody's like, yeah, of course, because it's Hans Zimmer.
The best
and
of
now
the best.
It was so funny to see all these reels from probably very young people, because I don't really know the demographic of the show. I would have to look it up, what the demographic of the show is, but I suspect very young.
Nobody knows who the fuck Hans Zimmer is that watches that show. It's crazy.
Yeah, so to see their response, and it's like, who the fuck is this? And why the fuck is he doing that? Kind of made me smile in a way, because I was like, yeah, here we go. One moment you're relevant, and another moment everybody's like, who the fuck are you? Welcome to the new digital age, Hans Zimmer. Because for some reason, a whole demographic knows his name now, just because Labyrinth is not doing the soundtrack.
I think it just shows such a clear disconnect between who's making the show and who's viewing the show.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like, would there be like focus groups and meetings at HBO where the director has to motivate, like, who is this viewer, or is this just like, whatever, Sam, make some cool stuff and it'll work?
I think that both are scenarios that exist.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to which one is this one. I think this one leans more towards whatever Sam makes something that works.
Right.
Because I can't imagine a focus group sat through that and greenlit it.
Right.
Just in today's PC culture, a room of people sitting and watching that would no.
Yeah, and HBO has not been what it is. HBO is not.
And just like that was Focus Room. Exactly that point. And the Focus Room that approved and just like that is not approving this show.
Right, no, and just like that is right. The focus group have been just like that. But I don't even, maybe that's for another episode, because I don't know how that shit got approved by HBO whatsoever. It's just like, that's what I mean when I said HBO is no longer the HBO that it was where it built its entire resume and reputation on, It's absolutely far, far, far removed from that. HBO to me was The Wire, Sopranos, and a bunch of other shows, but it was definitely built on those two shows for me. And my expectation level was really built on those two shows, which when they aired, nobody gave a fuck about those two shows. And they had a slow run, and it made HBO what it is even till this day. The catalog, a lot of people can still enjoy those shows on HBO. But for me, I don't know. I don't think I'm their audience, their focus or their target audience anymore. They're way too woke for me. So
Curious, have you
this
seen
whole
Hacks?
Euphoria. No, I haven't.
You should watch it. I don't know if I've ever laughed as much as I've laughed at this last episode of Hacks.
Is it because Katya is in it?
Who?
Katya?
Who's Katja?
The drag girl from Trixie.
Oh, I forgot she is in it for like a hot second.
Yeah.
No, it's not
Yeah, I
because of
just saw
that.
it because I follow her on Twitter.
It's not because of that. Oh my god, this last episode was comedic genius. I honestly
Is
do
it
not
really
know.
funny?
Hilarious. Oh my god.
Okay. Okay.
And when you talk
Okay.
about
Well,
the
next.
line of woke in HBO, it's a really interesting thing to dissect. Because up until this moment, I wasn't sure if it was part of the woke train or in on the joke. But I'm almost 100% sure now that they're in on the joke.
Okay. Yeah, I would have
Hilarious.
to see what yeah, I would have to see where there was. I think the woke madness peaked for me with yeah, with And Just Like That. That's where I was like, HBO, you have lost me. How the fuck could you have done this? You know, this was an easy win, and you failed so fucking hard because of wokeism, you know, alienating a lot of fucking viewers who are still to this day smack dab in the middle, you know. But anyway, that's a conversation for later. We should wrap this up. Any final thoughts on Euphoria? And should we agree upon what we're going to watch? You still there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I was chewing a second ago and I muted myself, so I forgot to unmute myself. Final thoughts on Euphoria are that I'm buckled in. I'm here. Curious how they're going to tie this all together and wrap it up. I think that's going to kind of shape my final opinion of the season.
Okay.
What I think we should review next, I think we should totally lock that in. Do you have any suggestions?
I've just seen. Oh, two suggestions. Two.
Okay.
I noticed that Project Hail Mary is
Oh.
on streaming services.
Awesome. I really want to see that. Okay, great.
I really want to see that.
Yeah.
I hear great things. And then I saw amazing reviews for a horror movie called Obsession.
I just started getting those like the targeted ads, I think, for it. It's supposed to be one of the best. Apparently they did some like billboards, I think, in LA, and there was like a number that you could text and shit. I saw.
So maybe we should just do Project Hail Mary and then
Okay, let's do Project Hail Mary first, and then we're gonna do a show. What show do we want to do? Should we do
What?
Margot? We were gonna do a show. Should we do Margot Has Money Problems?
oh yeah, we should do Margot because I think I saved because I liked it so much. I stopped watching after the third episode so I can
Really?
binge a couple of episodes. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I liked it so much.
I think
I
it's
was like,
really good, but I think you around episode 3 is the peak for me so far. I'm curious where it's gonna go.
right. I've seen that Nicole Kidman is in it.
She's
And
been in
then
it from
all
the
of a
beginning.
sudden,
She's the wrestler. She's the female wrestler.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen her in the first 3 episodes.
No, I think she's in it in like the first episode.
Really?
Yeah, in like the TV footage, like of Jinx, like the majority of the time when you see her father wrestling, especially when he's
Ah,
wrestling a woman. It's her. She's the female counterpart. She was his like ankle,
ah.
or he was her ankle
And
or heel.
is she any
Yeah.
good? Because I wasn't really. I was like, oh,
I have to say this is a redeeming character for me. I grew up loving Nicole Kidman, and I fell a little bit off the bandwagon around Big Little Lies up until around now. This is a redeeming character for Nicole Kidman. She plays the wrestler and also plays Margot's lawyer in her upcoming custody battle. So,
okay.
yeah, interesting. Interesting. The cast is great all around, I think. Yeah.
Cast everybody that was
Michelle is
casted
fantastic.
is
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, I would love to see Michelle Pfeiffer
Yeah.
back. You
Oh,
know,
she's in it the whole time. I mean, she's the
yeah,
mom.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It was just like, ah, finally,
Yeah.
somebody's throwing you a bone. You know,
Oh,
it's
that
just
has
like
to have
with,
been a choice, no? Like she had to have taken a step back. Like who says no to Michelle Pfeiffer if she audition or if she you even know that she's up for it?
I don't know. I think we may underestimate women aging in movies. You know, I think you get forgotten easily. You know, if you're not constantly on the red carpet, or because was it what is it? Taylor Sheridan also gave her a lead role in one of those Yellowstone spin-offs or something like that. And I'm like, good for you. Good for you, because where has she been all these years? Okay, maybe it could be that she took a step back. That is possible. Look at Cameron Diaz, who took a country.
Angelina, it's like I think once these are names that it's like not unfortunately not everybody has the luxury to be able to do that. Like even
Right, right,
thinking
right.
about Hacks and thinking about Deborah Vance, who I absolutely love. I love her character. I love her as an actress. I can't remember her name right now.
Maybe show Michelle
Deborah
Pfeiffer in the still so people
Vance
can see
actress. Well,
in
we're
in
switching over to
Maddie.
her for a quick second. What's it? Jean Smart. Absolutely love Jean Smart. But this goes to prove my point. I had to Google Jean Smart's name, and I'm not proud of that. I'm adjacent to film and television. But my point being is, I think that the Michelle Pfeiffers, the Charlize Theron's, the Angelina Jolie's, the Cameron Diaz's, they can afford to take a step back and to be a mom and to live life and to reap the benefits of
Sharon
their hard
Stone.
work.
Yeah, but if you hear Sharon Stone, I mean, she couldn't get work for a long while.
Winona Ryder couldn't find work for a while, but that might be because of the controversy, not because of age alone. And unfortunately, there's actresses like Jean Smart and a lot of other actresses, Viola Davis and Angela Bassett and people like this who don't have that luxury because of what was perpetuated in Hollywood as the norm and the success that other actresses like the Angelina Jolies and the Cameron Diaz's could receive. You know,
Right. No, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
you're right. I might be wrong. I assume that Michelle Pfeiffer, because she was making ad money as well, right? It's not she wasn't just making
I know, and I
film
think
money.
I
She was
think
doing
when you get
perfume. She was
older,
doing like
it,
luxury. She was a Venus of beauty for a generation. I think that she has residuals that she falls back on.
I mean, those are assumptions. You never really know what
You
happens
never
with. I
know.
mean,
Yeah.
people can get financial. I mean, there's all these assumptions that we have from people. If they make bad financial decisions, or they, spend more than their lifestyle, more money, more problems. It's a common thing,
Hundred
you
percent.
know. So those are all assumptions, of course. I'm just happy to see, because that's what, all the woke, the forced wokeness aside and the DEI aside, this is something where I do want to see Hollywood, act and what they preach,
Yeah.
and I kind of expect that because I don't. Okay, youth is important. It just is for certain industries, but you know when you watch Timothée Chalamet in the first Dune, for me, he, without all these senior actors and Oscar Isaac and what's his name from Game of Thrones and the other one from Sicario, you need sometimes elderly actors to be credible in your opposition, in your counterparts, in your dialogue. And for men, that's never like really an issue, but sometimes to have those older women be cast, and especially those legends. And that way, I'm very Quentin Tarantino. I want to see legendary faces from back in the day. I love that,
Yeah.
you know? So maybe another topic that we could also discuss is the controversy. Perhaps not now, because how long are we running now?
I mean, we can do it now. I think we've been on for an hour and 49 minutes, but there was a bit of technical errors in the beginning. We're live streaming, Uni. People do this 24 hours a day. There's no constraint. Our calls. Oh shit. Our calls last way longer normally. So yeah, there's no.
Oh shit. You're gonna have to bleep that out in the edit.
Yeah.
So what it was, yeah, okay. There's this huge controversy that I'm dying to know your opinion about.
Yeah, go for
it. Okay. So in the beginning of the year.
Wait, what is the Google queue? What do I pull up? What do I pull up on the background?
Odyssey.
The movie?
Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. Pull that up.
Okay. Let's go.
So, the controversy is that, and even Elon Musk is in the mix. So now it became completely political because Elon Musk decided to throw in his opinion. And so what happened is that there are quote unquote controversial casting choices made for this Greek epic story. Now, I am not an expert in the Odyssey. I haven't read the book, so I'm not really...
Wait, you weren't forced to? It wasn't part of high school curriculum? Because I was literally having this conversation with Patrick yesterday. And I went to high school in Serbia, and we had to.
No. I don't...
The Odyssey and the Iliad.
I can't recall.
It was Homer's Odyssey and Iliad. It's part of high school curriculum. You can't avoid it. It's Romeo and Juliet
Apparently,
vibes.
I avoided it because I read a lot, and I haven't read it. I haven't read it.
You don't know anything about the journey, his journey.
I don't know anything about his journey that I can't recall. I only know.
Do you know who Ulysses is?
The one that survived the attack with the Trojan horse, right? And who has to flee.
No.
And then it takes him a long while. I mean,
yes, that's what the Odyssey is. Yes, Odysseus.
Yeah, that is what I know. So. But what I do know is that the Greek people are very protective of that story, and there are controversial casting choices made. And the trailer has not been received very well, from the bleakness of the color grading to, having Lupita Nyong'o as one of the goddesses. And then, of course, the skin color comes up, that this is a Greek story, so she couldn't have been with an African skin color. But then at the same time, there's that same comment is not made for Matt Damon, which is a valid criticism if we're gonna go there then. And then somebody pulled up the DEI quotas that apparently Hollywood now has if you want to be eligible to be eligible for an Oscar movie. And that's where Elon Musk stepped in and said, what happened to making good movies? Now you just showed that you costed just to get nominated for an Oscar, which is disingenuous. And Elon Musk is.
Wait. I'm confused. I didn't realize that. There's a list of DEI that's necessary in order to get nominated for an Oscar. How does a movie
Yep.
like Sinners do that, right? Like, how does a movie that's predominantly any nation, right? Like, if the narrative of the movie is black people or Asian people or white people, how you just can't get nominated for an Academy Award?
Nope. You have to have certain quotas. Let me look it up.
That can't be right. That can't be right. It's like you can't be shooting Mulan and expect for them to be black and white people in it, right? Like,
That was actually Elon Musk's point. So, and then we go back to,
it's getting a little clickbaity. I feel like the citation of the Academy's rules have to be an interpretation. There's no way that the Academy, that's built off of narrative storytelling.
It's written out.
No, but like, yes, but if the movie is about a specific nation, let's say we're making a Mulan live action, right? And it's all Asian people. There's no way that the Academy made a rule that you have to cast X amount of black and white people in order to qualify for the award.
Yes, it is. I should have had this bookmarked. That was the whole. This is the whole drama, and you have to understand that in the beginning of the year, the movie Twitter was like, I need to go off my computer because I'm stuck again. Hold on, I need to look that up on my phone. Hold on, I'm gonna close everything here because this stream cannot handle me. My computer is too old. Hold on. Let me look at my phone. In the beginning of the year, all the movie buffs on Twitter were like, this is going to be a great year for all movie lovers. We have fucking Dune 3. We have fucking Project Hail Mary, and we have Odyssey. So the Dune trailer, the Project Hail Mary trailer gets released, everybody hyped. The Dune 3 trailer gets released, more people hyped. The Hans Zimmer score was excellent. Nobody complained about that fucking war chant with Timothée Chalamet edited in it. The reel of the score of the trailer was used in a ton of reels. Everybody's hyped up. And then the Odyssey trailer released, and it was pwah, 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 and everybody outraged. And then, of course, it becomes political because Elon Musk is political. And then it becomes a Republican Democrat thing. And it comes on shows like The View, where Sunny, one of those hosts, is saying that, matter of fact, a lot of the Greek literature was copied from African blah, blah, blah. And then there's a whole discussion about that. It's a mess. It's a mess because it's not the type of pre-hype a director like Christopher Nolan ever had. This is a problem for him, 100%. Hold on, let me go to Twitter and let's go to Elon Musk because he probably showed the receipts for this. And so what do you think about a an African American an African actress portraying a Greek goddess?
I don't really care. I mean, it's not the first time that it's been done. So it's like it's like Medusa's been portrayed as black and a bunch of shit. It's like it depends on what we're going for with the movie. I just came off of a rant about how theatrical I liked the approach of the metaphor of Cassie becoming too big for her current life in Euphoria. I obviously like a certain type of storytelling. I come from a Wes Anderson world. It doesn't bother me that she's black. But if now we're talking about hyper immersion, if we're talking about a film that's supposed to be, there's different types of filmmaking, right? If the film is under the pretense that it's supposed to be super realistic, then no, I don't think that the person that anybody should be. I think the bottom line, regardless of my political opinion, is that I don't think there should be any constraints on a director's vision at all.
And what do you think about the Greek and Greek culture heavily criticizing this movie?
Because of are they criticizing it because of casting or because of the way in which they're
Casting.
then
Casting.
they can
Diversity without Greeks
mind
is
your
not diversity.
business. Mind your business. Are we saying that no Greeks were hired or not enough Greeks were hired?
Not one prominent ethnic Greek actor, not one Greek American performer, not even a symbolic acknowledgement of the culture from which the story originates. And this is where the hypocrisy is in a way, because it's like
I don't know. I don't know. How, like, what does yes? The answer is, because I was going to say, does a story like Macbeth fall under the same scrutiny? And it does. But we're talking about cultural prose. We're talking about a story that exists in the cultural domain of society. We're talking about the stories that built the industries that are making this, right? Without stories, without Homer's story, without that version of historical storytelling, we wouldn't be here today. So
I have an article here in front of me, and the article asks, would Hollywood accept a Japanese epic retold without Japanese actors while simultaneously boasting about diversity? I think that is the crux of the discussion. It's where everything has become so racially
I would like to invite Mr.
sensitive.
Miyagi to the table.
What?
I would like to invite Mr. Miyagi to the table.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the Karate Kid is the answer to your question.
He wasn't a real Asian, or?
Well, the character that he played wasn't a real Asian, but the whole context of that entire movie was Asian storytelling. It was an Asian plot. It was Asian narrative. It was exactly that. It was taken from, and there's a deeper analysis when you look at, like, let's say, The City is Burning and Reservoir Dogs. It's taking a Japanese story, a successful one, and then doing it through the lens of a white man and distributing it in society. And you have anything to say about that?
Here's another quote. There is a significant difference between Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey and inspired by Homer's Odyssey. The latter acknowledges adaptation and creative divergence. The former carries an implicit promise of cultural and literary continuity.
I disagree. Does that mean that every high school that performs Shakespeare, that performs Romeo and Juliet, is obliged to cast culturally relevant people in those roles? No.
So, but then, let me play devil's advocate here. What this created is a flood of memes with Ryan Gosling as Martin Luther King, Sydney Sweeney as Rosa Parks.
No, because those are cultural figures. That's not a cultural work, right? Those are different distinctions, and I think that's extremely important, right? We're not.
But for the Greek, this is a cultural. If we're going to.
No, it's a fantastical story. It's a fantastical story.
Right.
Right. These weren't real people. And who's to say that Homer wrote any of these people with inherent nationality? Yes, because of how it was written, there was an element of nationalism to it. But would Homer care this much? Probably not. But my point is that these are pieces of work that are fairy tales that have it's like Hansel and Gretel. If you're telling the story of Hansel and Gretel, do they have to be Swiss?
Well, I think the criticism is that this does apply for certain cultures that would scream bloody murder if it's not with actors represented in their culture. I think that is where the frustration is here. What frustrates many critics of Nolan's approach is not merely the casting itself, but the asymmetry of cultural rules in modern America. Some cultures are treated as sacred and untouchable. Others are treated as open source mythology, available for endless reinterpretation without obligation or accountability. I do kind of get that.
That I understand. I understand that point. Yes, I do. Where
So
is that line
that is
drawn? And as I was just having that debate with you, I'm curious. I don't have an answer for that, right? Like, because what I guess sometimes religion is kind of where the line is drawn, and Greek mythology isn't part of Greek religion.
Yes, but as you know, Shakespeare is part of, I would think, British culture, right?
Culture, yeah. Which I would think that Homer's writings fall into the same domain.
So, like, do you remember when the character
Homer's writings are an act of
Anne
fiction.
Boleyn?
Yeah.
Do you remember when the character of Anne Boleyn was portrayed by this beautiful British actress? I don't know her name. She dated the guy from Dawson's Creek. For me, that was difficult. You know, I didn't watch it because of that casting.
I don't have an issue with casting like that. For me, it's really like I watch like, Bridgerton.
It's like, yeah, I know, but I don't watch Bridgerton. I don't watch Bridgerton because for me it's difficult to believe that because of the time period.
We're not supposed to believe in a show like that we're in that time period. That's just maybe, and this is an analogy that works for me because I play video games, and when you play a lot of video games you kind of notice, and it's because everything is essentially built in a singular engine, including this program that we're running these avatars through, Unreal or Unity, I guess there's two, but things are essentially all the same, just with different skins on top of them, you know. And what Bridgerton does is it's not a period piece. It's not supposed to make you feel like you're in the whatever hundreds, right? This is drama and gossip of today, told through the aesthetic lens of a period piece. And they portray that so immaculately with their soundtrack that it's shocking. Like our friend Grace, won't watch Bridgerton because they perceive it as a period piece. So it just, which it really isn't. It's just they just all happen to be wearing.
No,
I know
yeah. I know it's not a period piece, and I know it's not intended to watch it. But for me, I love period pieces. I love them, you know. So that's why I watch them, because they're period pieces. So if I watch a period piece of the Vikings, I do not expect to see an African Viking, for example. Or if I watch a period piece about, 47 Ronin, same, unless, there's like a valid criticism about Wuthering Heights, where the character of Jacob Elordi is apparently miscast because the original character of the book, which I haven't read, so I'm not sure if I'm correct here, but from what I've read and seen passing by, is that character would have been Arab. But then I kind of expect to see...
He's not Arab in the original movie. I can tell you that.
Not in the original movie, the book.
No, I know, but this seems to have been a reinterpretation of the movie because it was line for line. We only watched the ending of the original movie because it popped up on HBO after we watched Wuthering Heights, and we didn't know there was an original movie, so we just opened it just to see what would happen. And her monologue.
Apparently, in the book, he should be Spanish or brown-skinned, and that was part of the dynamic of that character and that woman. And I don't know, but I was like, I mean, I'm a purist like that. Or when African American people have their stories, I do not expect to see, white cast actors, or back in the day.
I just think that if we say that, then we're saying that no black person can ever perform Shakespeare, or Asian person, or anybody that's
Well,
not specifically
but
British.
exactly, but that is the dynamic that has been created. You understand?
I just think that that's ridiculous.
Like, in that dynamic, should we have a white Black Panther?
I think we should be able to. I think as long as it's as long as it's labeled and we know what we're watching, right? If we have a scary movie in which it's flipped, like let's say a Black Panther is a character in a scary movie, but it's the White Panther, I think from a satirical standpoint that should be allowed. I don't think it's a one size fits all.
But I don't think that would be accepted by, people who are very conscious about that in that community. And I think that is the criticism and the crux of this whole Odyssey thing, is that it's not, as the article puts out, there's like, for some type of things, it is absolutely not allowed. And for other things, it's like, hey, we can replace under DEI, we can replace whoever we want to replace. Where like with The Little Mermaid, I had no issues with that casting whatsoever, because for me, the most important thing that the spirit of The Little Mermaid should have is that voice. And Chloe has that voice. So for me, and has that etherical view. So there, I thought that was completely ridiculous, all the drama about that. But
so here's where that's such an interesting one to bring up, because I feel like that was a DEI casting. Not that she's not perfect for it. I think she would be great for it, but I just think timing wise and the way that it happened, it feels almost
timing wise, yeah.
It's impossible to ignore that she was the best black girl they could have picked for it, but they were determined that they were going to pick a black girl for it, is what the issue was, and why it feels so disingenuous.
Especially in that time. Especially during that time where it was, and those type of decisions did hurt Disney. And I don't think specifically with that character, because I think the movie was received very well. And I watched the movie and I thought she was perfect for that role,
I didn't watch it specifically for that. I find that so interesting that you watched
That's so weird, because you're a lot more, sensitive for these topics than I am. That's so interesting that you didn't watch it because you thought that was a diversity, equity, and blah, blah, blah.
It's giving me woke vibes, right? Like the whole thing was giving me, it came out also whilst we were in the midst of our conversations about how repulsive and just like that was making us feel. And this just felt like an extension of that. Yeah, like the show, because it's sad, right? Like it was kind of, as aspiring filmmakers, right? We're sitting here and we're talking about this, and we're thinking about like, how the fuck is this shit being made when we can't book a job? This felt like it was industry plant type vibes. It felt disingenuous. It felt like it was a product.
No, I don't agree with industry plant at all, because those two sisters and Ellie still need to work their butt off, and they have come up from YouTube history. I thought that role was completely deserved, and the rise of those two sisters and their endless hard work that they put up. So for me, it wasn't a plant at all, because it was her push to international stardom. If you were outside of America and you didn't listen to, R&B, or you didn't know Beyonce, those two were not on your radar whatsoever. And, The Little Mermaid really pushed her into, an epic role. So I don't really agree with industry plan. What I can agree with is that, there's probably two flies or two stones in one hand, or how do you say it? That it was like two birds, one stone. I don't know what the expression is.
Just one stone, yeah.
It probably was that. But for me, the most important was, does she have the angelic voice? Were there white girls that you could dye red hair also have that voice? Probably. And there probably the role
Like,
went.
hear me out. Imagine it was Zara Larson.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
Zara Larson can sing, right? That's true.
And her whole brand is fucking mermaid. And like 2000s mermaid. Like,
Yes, but also her brand is that she loves abortion, so that I think that would rule out any type of future
her
casting for
brand is
Disney.
not that she loves abortions. Her brand is that she loves women's autonomy and their right to choose.
Well, no, but she clearly put out on her Instagram that she loves abortions.
I followed the whole thing. I know what you're talking about. It started because a fan recorded her on stage, I don't remember where it was, and posted that and said, "You finishing Midnight Sun, at least my baby got to see Midnight Sun before I killed it, went to the abortion clinic." And then she replied to that, "I killed it on stage before you killed it in the womb." And retweeted that. And then people tore her to shreds because she made a joke about the abortion. And then she came online and wanted to clarify, "I'm not justifying what I said. I don't have to because you guys are fucking idiots. I will always support a woman's right to her choice and a woman's right to health care. That's not why I'm here."
Yeah, that's a difficult one for me. I am, definitely pro-choice, but not as recklessly as she communicates it. I think this is it kind of threw me off a little bit. I was
clarify. What about her reckless communication was what about her communication was reckless?
Well, not knowing the context, I saw that passing by and I was like, this is a reckless way to talk to young girls about how you casually killed your baby. That is reckless to me. I think if women fought for the liberty to have this choice, and I don't think you should, speak about that choice in such a reckless manner, because those rights have been fought for really hard, and conservative people could see this as very, very offensive, which I understand. From a conservative point of view, I do understand that this could be seen as very offensive. And in a world where everybody is offended, sometimes I think that the left is sometimes really reckless.
Okay, but weren't you the one that told me astrologically right now what we're kind of supposed to be doing? What the stars say is to speak truths that might not be socially accepted by the norm, right? Like you brought up like a Joe Rogan as like an example in speaking. I don't see how that's different. Like I don't see how.
No. I don't know. That it has nothing to do with that for me. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that it's the same. I maybe I am conservative about that, but for me, the goal as a woman is always to not get pregnant if you don't want to get pregnant, and to have that sacred right of having the choice to not be reckless about it. And it's not because women, we have that choice now, that we should be just recklessly communicating about that, because we could go into the ins and outs of when is it alive and when is it not, and all that. But preferably, I don't think it is something that should be spoken of in any type of joke, because at the end of the day, we have people being sensitive about how animals are killed for food consumption in certain religions, and then at the same time we're like, oh, I just killed my baby and just right before I went after stage. I'm like, that maybe I'm too old for that, but I was like,
well, I mean, but first off, Zara didn't say that. The fan said that.
And what did Zara say? Because maybe
Zara
I'm
replied back, I killed it on stage and then you killed it afterwards.
And what does that mean?
It's literal. I killed it on stage. Like, I did an amazing job during my set, and then you went and killed your baby.
Yeah, it's still very tasteless.
That's not what the discussion is about, though, right? Because taste, we could say that you don't like what she was wearing, and that's fine. She might not like what we're wearing today. That's not what you had said, that it's her reckless behavior, and I still fail to see exactly what about it is reckless. I actually think that it should be something that's freely talked about, openly talked about. Part of my family comes from a country where sex and speaking of a lot of stuff is highly stigmatized, and there's these horror stories. Like, I heard a story when I was living out there.
Same.
Just listen, hear me
Just,
out. Like a 7-year-old woman who had never been to the gynecologist in her life because of the stigma. She goes to the gynecologist. She has a yeast infection. He gives her these pills that she's supposed to tear out of the aluminum foil and put in her snatch daily to calm down the yeast infection. Because there's such a large stigma about speaking about these types of things, and she's not part of the YouTube generation or the Google generation, she doesn't know that you're supposed to open the aluminum foil before you put it inside of your body. So 2 months in, she comes back with a horrible stink and horrible pain, needing an intense operation that might now kill her because she's been shoving aluminum foil up inside of her snatch for the last 90 days. And that's
right.
because of this perspective, because certain things are viewed by certain people because of cultural stigmas and your surrounding and your age and the time that you were brought up in and the things that you're exposed to as inappropriate or haram or dirty or things that aren't meant to be talked about by a lady or a man or whatever the archetype is. But I think it is important to acknowledge words are words. Actions are actions. Dogs walk around sniffing and licking and fucking. We've attached a stigma to everything in life. We've attached definition and meaning to it. I just like asking sometimes the question, why?
To me, the recklessness is just how I would never, I never had the experience of an abortion because I was incredibly, incredibly careful not to get pregnant. Coming where I come from, being, a very young girl that left the house very, very young as a teenager. And I was very, very scared to get pregnant because I knew that would alter my life. So I had a relationship and I took that pill for the life of me. And I only took the morning after pill in my life twice, maybe, and it's never something that I wanted to do. And I always, felt guilty if I wasn't responsible, because for me, it's like, I am pro-choice for, victims of rape. I I admire people who still give birth and make that choice, but I couldn't, so in that, I think that right is for situations like that. I don't really, I know women who had multiple abortions, because they were reckless, just because it was all about lust and not safety. And then I'm like, yeah, but that's multiple abortions. That's not.
Why does that matter? But you know what I mean? It's like, through which lens are you viewing this standard? And this isn't a question that I'm asking you because it matters to me what your answer is. It's more something I'm not saying you have to. I'm not giving you homework, but that's something that you ask yourself. It's like, why is one less? Less. This is the same thing that we talked about with Lecter last night. It's like, why? For him, it was the size of boobs. For you, it's the amount of abortions. Where is the line in the sand drawn, and what causes you to draw that line? Like, why is one less than 4? Why is rape less valid than a drunken night or a bad decision? And there is a very legitimate answer to all of these questions.
I'm not talking about one drunken night. I'm talking about multiple drunken nights. So I think when it comes to that discussion, there is a sense of responsibility when it comes to life. I do think that this is where I understand the conservatives. where I am not part of, although, before COVID, I would have considered myself left, and I had all these, liberal views, and I kind of still have, but even as a young girl, maybe it's because I was raised in religion. I do have this core respect for the creation of human life. And I don't think it's something that should be approached in a reckless type of way, where this is like, yes, we should communicate about having an abortion. I absolutely agree with that. But the way that came onto my feed, I found that to be reckless. And then I saw a post of her, I love abortions and I love this and I love that. And I was like, damn, that is, it kind of threw me off a little bit. But I mean good, that's her right and freedom of speech. And so I'm not like, but it did throw me off a little bit. Maybe it's an age thing.
Well, what? Do you think it's an age thing, or do you think that there's also like a slight element of cultural upbringing? And like an element of haram cultural and religious views.
Is she American or
Swedish? What do you mean? She's Swedish.
He's Swedish, yeah. Okay. So yeah, for me, okay. I view.
Where's Robin from? Robin's Swedish?
Yeah.
She's Swedish.
Okay. So for me, the lens that I view this on is like, I know somebody who was in a very new relationship, and they were together for a year, and 15 years later they are still together, and they fell pregnant early, and that would have meant no finishing school, no higher studies, and a complete derange of that girl and that man's couple's future. And eventually that friend of mine decided to abort the child. And I could only be supportive because that was her decision. And I completely understood where she come from. I think I have judgment, probably that's what it is. If you are reckless having sex and recklessly aborting one child after the other. I don't think women fought for the right to be reckless. I think it's a sacred right that we use in times of need. And in all the examples that you've said, and that doesn't mean that I do not invite all the conversations about, sexual hygiene and all that. And that way I'm like, yes, let's talk about menopause. Let's talk about perimenopause. Let's talk about all those things that happen to women, because that has barely been discussed. Let's talk about having an abortion. But the recklessness, it's the same sometimes in hip hop, where it's like, in those lyrics, these are, even though I would love the song, I would never rap like or repeat the lyrics where it's like, if you don't want the baby, then abort it, ho. That's where it's like, I'm not going to repeat that. That's too reckless for me. I'm not sure if I made my point clear, but to me, it's a sacred right that women fought for. And a lot of conservative and a lot of religious people would love to take that right away. And if we are having, I don't care that you have a lot of sex and different partners, but I do think it's your responsibility to have safe sex and to make sure that the main goal is to not get pregnant, so you do not end up having an abortion. So having unsafe sex just because there's an option to get an abortion is something I do not agree with, and that I'm probably a little bit judgmental about. Does that make my point clearer?
So no, it does. It does make your point clearer. I guess before I rebuttal to that, we didn't finish our previous conversation about the movie DEI. I'm curious where you land on the movie DEI. What is your personal stance?
It is so difficult for me because we already got stuck. We already got stuck with it was to me, the Little Mermaid movie
Let me
wasn't
simplify the
DEI at
question.
all.
Let me simplify the question. Black men playing Shakespeare.
Um, um, I don't know, because in Romeo and Juliet, and Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, one of the best performances was Mercutio, and that's the actor from the series
Hasn't
From.
Denzel done Macbeth?
Denzel has done Macbeth, but I think Macbeth is a black character, wasn't it? Wasn't Macbeth black?
Okay, then Michael Fassbender doing Macbeth. No, and Macbeth was not black. He was a Scottish nobleman. So Denzel as Macbeth.
Yeah, for some reason I don't have an issue with that.
So then, for me, that leads me to believe. I think we're on the same page. It just, for me, my beliefs are something. I don't think that somebody should be tied down to that, and I don't think that, let's say, we are the ones that can draw the line in the sand. But I think that parallel can be drawn to your views on the abortion thing as well, right? I would say that seem to have a bit more of a concise form factor of who can do what and who can play what, seem to be more inclined to a pro-life type of view that's a little bit more conservative. Whereas I think that, you know, the abortion thing kind of plays hand in hand. It's kind of like, it's kind of a somebody else's autonomy type thing. It's not. I don't think that it's our place to have.
The criticism about the Odyssey that I follow the most is that the casting is strategically DEI just to get the Oscar. And that's where I get the criticism. That's where I get the criticism. Do I feel any type of way that Lupita Nyong'o is playing this Greek goddess? I don't think it will matter in a Christopher Nolan movie, to be fair. Then everybody got head over heels or whatever, completely mental, because there was misinformation that Ellen, I don't know his name after the change. Hold on, let me look it up before I offend the entire internet. Elliot Page. All of a sudden it came online that Elliot Page would play Achilles, and I was like, there's no way. We can't, that's not possible.
So that's the thing. I think it is important to understand how this movie was cast and what it's trying to be. I think we're taking what is traditionally something that you would see in a high school theater as a piece of historical literature, and we're taking that theatrical production and being like, what would this look like if the theater was Hollywood cast? Right, and I'm sure that these people are so happy.
If you then put it in DEI, then they check box a transgender. You understand? And that's the criticism theory that territory that I do get. But when that first came online, I was like, I'm sorry, but that, like, there's no way that Elliot Page can play Achilles. There's just no way. Like, there's, to me, Achilles
is the epitome of masculinity. Yeah.
It's an archetype. Yes, it's an archetype, and I expect to see that archetype. We're not going to change everything. I do have an issue with that.
That's a little sus.
So, but of course, it wasn't true.
Oh.
Apparently, he is casted, but in a totally different role. And all, the hard conservatives had to eat dust because it was all drama for nothing. But it didn't stop. It's like, and then there was also criticism. Yeah, but can you imagine that he would have done that?
That would have been ridiculous. That would have been ridiculous.
That would have, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think if you then put the DEI of like, okay, we have one black actress, check. And then we have a transgender actor, and then I don't know what what is it? In 2020, under leadership of David Rubin, 2020, the year of the woke mind virus, launched the representation and inclusion standards for Best Picture eligibility. These rules, still in effect, require films to meet at least 2 of 4 diversity criteria involving race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or disability in on-screen roles, creative leadership, or crew.
Read it one more time. Sorry, I didn't get the full picture.
Okay. In 2020, under the leadership of David Rubin, as the president of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, who he served as from 2019 to 2022, the Academy launched the representation and inclusion standards for Best Picture eligibility. These rules, still in effect, require films to meet at least 2 of 4 diversity criteria involving race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or disability in on-screen roles, creative leadership, or crew.
Okay, so, but what I'm hearing is that it's not as, so there's still a way for you to shoot. We started off with the example is, what if we were shooting the live-action Mulan now? There's still a way to shoot the live-action Mulan with a full Asian cast.
Yes, but there's going to have to be somebody in a wheelchair.
No.
Or somebody who has dwarfism.
No, somebody who's no. You have to have 2 of the 4 criteria. So if you have enough women and you have enough homos or lesbians, then you're good.
Yeah, but don't you think that's a little bit contrived? Like, I mean, I don't know.
You can't convince me that if you're shooting again, we're using Mulan as the example, right? You're shooting the live action war scene. You can't convince me that you can't find 1 lesbian and 1 faggot that you can book to make that, like, that out of all of if you're casting 100 people for a scene like that and you don't hire a single faggot, I say that as a homosexual, FYI, internet, then there is something wrong with your DEI. I think that you would. I think that working in Hollywood, you would easily hit those numbers. That's why I want to know what the specifics are. You know, it's
but then if you then adapt a classic story, you do need that is from white literature, or in this case, Greek literature. You know, it's the same what they did with the Cleopatra documentary.
Based off of those rules, everybody could have been Greek. Nobody needed to be black, Asian, white in the Odyssey, based off of the rules that you just read to me. Somebody did need to be gay and somebody needed to be a lesbian. Somebody could have been pansexual, it doesn't fucking matter. But because all of the qualms were ethnic, none of them were based off of any other characteristic of the actors other than their birth ethnicity, which also draws into question the whole pretense of the whole argument, right? Because what are we looking at? Just somebody's color of their skin? Then we should also be like, if this person's gay, then they shouldn't be playing a straight person, because that also wouldn't have been realistic.
Exactly,
right?
But that is the action-reaction consequence of DEI, I think.
Well, that's not the conversation that's being had. DEI is only affecting the pigment of somebody's skin right now. Well, these other things are listed in it right now, but those don't seem to in the qualifying categories of the Academy, but those don't seem to be any of the qualms with the casting of the Odyssey. They all seem to be ethnic.
I think there's Zendaya's cast.
No, I'm talking just of the criticism. It's about the ethnicity of the casting. It's not about the fact that any of them are gay or none of them are disabled or one is disabled. If Elliot Page was doing Ulysses, then we would have was doing.
One is about skin color and one is about the transgender.
Yeah. So that exactly. If Elliot Page was doing Achilles, then it would have been a different scenario. But because you have hermaphrodites in ancient Greece, you have through the lore transgender people who were idolized and gods in a completely different culture. It was through the lens of Homer. They did not criticize transgender individuals in the way that we do through our current lens of society. So if we want to talk about being true to the writer, then that is something that is a little bit more valid versus somebody's nationality. Because none of those nationalities exist right now, right? Because the writings of those time don't speak of the Greek don't speak of Greek nationality as it exists today. It was Roman Empire. It was a completely different thing. It was different. They happen to be on the same land as it once was, but it's not the same empire, right? So in that sense, nobody has the right to be
what do
playing
you
them.
think then? What do you think about the Cleopatra casting of the Netflix documentary where the country of Egypt was incredibly offended?
I didn't watch it. I don't know. What was it?
Well, there was a documentary about Cleopatra, and it was portrayed by these live actors, and one of the actors was black, and Cleopatra, according to Egypt, was absolutely not black. And they had the same grievances, and it flopped beyond reason. Historians were like, what is this crap? This is ridiculous. And then all the people
I'll listen to Egyptians' point of view about history once they let us start digging. That's all I gotta say.
Once they start what?
Once they let us start digging.
Yeah, no. Listen, I was mentioning it, and I was like, this might not be this might not be the right example, considering that a lot of Arab countries traded a lot of black people, so maybe there's something on the line.
The amount of propaganda that comes out of the Egyptian Ministry of Culture to this day, the steps of advancement of understanding our past that we know that we have access to if they would just let us dig in front of the pyramids.
Well, they are not letting them dig because it will come out that these pyramids have nothing to do with Egyptians at all.
Well, exactly.
That's why.
No, exactly.
That's
exactly.
Why. That's why. So
where
that's
are
why
tinfoil hats? I forgot to get us.
That's why.
I forgot to get us our tinfoil hats. I'm gonna get them for the next episode. Our tinfoil hat that we can plop on when we go into this mode.
What?
I forgot to get us our tinfoil hats that we can plop on for when we go into this mode of the episode.
Hold on. Yeah, the criticism that I'm seeing on Twitter is really about that it feels that Christopher Nolan really did those check boxes to be eligible for an Oscar. And that is a little bit disingenuous. And it's a bit hypocritical, I think, in a way. But I don't think I personally will mind. I'm not the biggest fan of Lupita Nyong'o as an actress. But I don't think I will be like, oh my God, take her off my screen. No, I don't have those type of visceral reactions because I can't understand. If the story is still told, I think actors, as you say, in a theater play can overcome the classical typecasting. It's just that, these type of situations do give leadway to, very pro-black movies that, would absolutely, or pro-black voices, let's call it that would absolutely not accept that way, would not accept a white Black Panther. And here,
No, I agree. There is
you can have the same discussions like, but it's a cartoon. These are not real people, yada, yada, yada. And they would not accept this whatsoever, so because then at the same time.
But the thing is, Uni, a white Black Panther exists.
It exists?
100%. Black Panther is birthed in the same universe as Spider-Man. The multiverse is one of the biggest parts of the Marvel universe in which Black Panther comes from. There's a black Spider-Man, which means there is a white Black Panther. It's inherently implied. It's part of the lore.
Okay, I don't know enough about that. My question is, would a pro-black African American movie audience accept that?
They have,
considering
if they're there for Black Panther, then they have no choice but to accept that because it already exists.
Right.
Now, would a woke movie reviewer or part of the Hollywood Foreign Press dissect that and make it into something culturally that might be something different? 100% clickbait. Everybody's going to love that article. But if you're a fan of the MCU, you have no choice but to accept that. We already have a Black
Right.
Spider-Man. That inherently means that there is a white Black Panther, an Asian Black Panther, a woman Black Panther, a frog Black Panther. It all exists. It all exists in the MCU. There's a version of all of that in Spider-Man. A frog Spider-Man, a woman Spider-Man, a vintage Spider-Man.
Okay, wait, and then if it all doesn't matter, it all doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. That's what we agree upon. It doesn't matter. Lupita Nyong'o plays a Greek goddess. It does not matter that there's not one Greek whatsoever in that entire movie casted. It all doesn't matter. Why does it matter that Tom Cruise played a samurai?
It doesn't. It doesn't. It's just Tom Cruise isn't that likable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but remember that he played a samurai,
Yeah,
and people
I do.
now look back and say this is scandalous. All these Anne Elizabeth Taylor playing
No, come on.
Cleopatra.
You asked the question, rage baity, and yes, we can get into it. But the real answer to your question is, it needs to be analyzed through the lens of the adaptation of Hollywood, right? That was pre any of the things that we've talked about on this call. It was pre the invention of the term DEI, pre the insemination of DEI and hiring into mainstream culture and the way that we view things. It was at the pinnacle of the white man in Hollywood.
Exactly, and I agree. I totally agree with that. There wasn't any type of diverse casting whatsoever to the point of ridiculousness.
It was something that wasn't even questioned at that point in time.
Yeah,
and
right.
The people in the room that were making that movie probably were making it under the assumption that the only way they were going to make their money back on making this movie is by casting a white man in it. It's the same people that would tell people that it's like, did you watch that new, this is such a stupid reference, but that new Simon Cowell putting a TV show, like putting a boy band together?
No.
It's a Netflix show with Simon Cowell putting a boy band together. It's like 7 boys they put together. But one of the casting people on it is like, they hire this Indian kid. He ends up making it. And he's like, I'm so excited to put you in this and to make this a thing. He's Indian, the casting director. And he was like, I make music. And when I was making music in the 90s and I went into, like, I got contacted by a label. They're like, dude, your music's amazing. We hear it on the radio. We love it. But let me just ask you this. Based off of your name, I can tell you're Indian, right? And he goes, yeah, I am. And he's like, that's going to be a problem. I can tell you right now, no teenage girl in the Midwest wants to put up a poster of an Indian boy in her room.
Yeah, totally believe it.
That is the logic that those people had in the room when they cast Tom Hanks as that samurai. And that is why Tom Cruise as that samurai. And that is why that casting choice is despicable. Not because Tom Cruise played the samurai. I think that there's a world that stands aside from the politics of that time in which it's totally fine.
But now we're in like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't care. So right now, Tom Cruise in 2026 can play a samurai again.
Yes, I agree. Tom Cruise, no, but intention, right? It's not about the product, right? Because here's another great example. Here's another great example. Japanese music. I forgot what they call it now. But for a really long time, or is it China? I think it was Japan. They didn't have access to music. It was highly regulated. I think it was China, where it was only sanctioned music for like 40 years. They would have speakers that were connected to the government, and they were only played what they were allowed to play, but they were getting trash from all over Europe and America. And people would take torn up shreds of cassette tapes and stitch them back together into music that was distributed underground. So these people were receiving all of this music without any context of what is jazz, what is rock, what are any of the things that confine us into the way that we make music. And it birthed this completely new perception and genre of these things, right? They heard music isolated in a bubble. If somebody were in space to just get a chronological archive of all of the movies that we made, they wouldn't give 2 fucks if Tom Cruise was playing a samurai, and it would not matter at all to the narrative plot of the movie.
Right.
The only thing that matters is the decision making through the lens of our society, right? We're nitpicking it, and it's important to ask that question as to when it was made, when that decision was made. That's what makes it fucked up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
not that he is playing a samurai.
I think the reasoning, No,
Yeah.
but I think at that time the reasoning. I mean, I think if you're an Asian actor trying to make it in Hollywood and you see Tom Cruise as playing a samurai, I think you're genuinely asking yourself, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, but
You know?
it's the fucked up system, right? It's the
Yeah.
fucked up
But
system. It's the people
now
in the room that
we are.
told that
But
guy
wait.
that no girl in
Yes. Yes. So, but now apparently we are back at that, but in a different zeitgeist where Tom Cruise could play a samurai because Lupita Nyong'o can play a Greek goddess.
yes, but not yet.
Do
Not yet.
but do
No,
you
but not
see
yet,
the
right?
absurdity?
Not
Do
yet.
you see the absurdity?
But what you said is it's even more absurd because no, Tom Cruise can't play a samurai because the white man can't do it. Every other culture can, but in our current zeitgeist, the white man is singled out, and that's the reality. Tom
Yeah,
Cruise
exactly.
still could not play a samurai, but Lupita can play a
Exactly,
Greek
and
god,
that
and that's
is
socially accepted.
yeah, and I think that is the hypocrisy of this whole discussion, and this is where I can understand the criticism. You know, I don't really care about it that much, but like, as when I was putting my director's portfolio together, or even when I was still in the modeling shit and all that, I had a casting agency, a casting agent calling me and say, you have excellent taste, and you know a lot of beautiful black girls. Can you not give me a list of black models that we could have a job for black models? And I was, me having a certain ethnicity myself. When I applied for certain jobs in the TV industry, I also heard, you're too ethnic or you're too urban. And considering that I'm quite white passing, but it was just the way that I talked, the way that I moved my hands, I completely understand that dynamic. So, but for me, it was like, damn, you still don't have any black models in your agency, and that was before the whole wokeness. Like, I think it was 2019. Yeah. And then I gave him a list of girls because I was like, hey, if I can push one of those beautiful girls that I know to get a modeling job, no problemo. Wasn't even paid for it. Just did it out of the goodness of my heart. And then I had a casting call, and I don't know what I put, but I think I put that I was looking for a very masculine, straight person. And that casting agent went in my DMs and scolded a guy that I knew for years, and scolded me that I was excluding gay people. And I was like, do you know me? I was like, this woke shit is not going to work with me, bro. I was like, you know me. I was like, what the fuck? So this is what the first time that the way that I put out a casting and the way I named it or described it was not DEI enough. And I'm talking about somewhere between 2020, 2021. Yeah. I was like, but if I would ask to have a gay character, would you then attack me because I didn't involve the straight man in it? It's just like the absurdity and the overly, especially attacking me, I was like, bro, you know me. Why are you attacking me like I'm a stranger on the internet? Just if you have issues, just like address it like a normal person. So that was the end of that relationship, because that's how it goes in woke. It's like you say something wrong without any wrong intention or whatever, or you describe something wrong. And I do notice, because I follow a casting director on my timeline, and it's like we are looking for a sub-Saharan, and then all the sub-levels of names, just not to ethnically offend someone on the internet. Where I'm like, wow, this is going very far. I think I would make one mistake after another because I don't use the right words, the woke DEI terms. Even when I'm applying for a job, you see under a job, our company is DEI proof. We welcome everybody who is blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and I'm not really sure if I don't want to work in that company, because it feels also very dogmatic. So in that way, I'm like, I've always casted diverse. I was quote unquote known to be so diverse. And it was never an intention. It was something normal to me. You know, I never casted a gay person because he's gay. I never casted a black person. I casted them because they were awesome on screen. They had a certain look. I casted gay people. I casted Asian people. I even casted an albino girl. Before all that wokeness, before agency came out as we are a diverse agency, we have a unique view for, you know, I casted an Arab guy with, and even now, an Arab guy would already be, you know, attacked in that casting industry. I would probably have to call him a sub-Saharan from the region of the North African, blah, 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 you know, and for me, it's like, we need to chill, because this is dogmatic, and I come from dogmatic religion, and it's the same thing. You say the wrong word and you're outed and casted out and excommunicated. So for me, it's like to see this whole forced diversity checkbox thing, for me, feels sometimes even more racist. Do you understand? It feels like a whole lot of people who never thought before 2020 to cast diverse, all of a sudden are like waving their flag and putting on their company. We are diverse. We have somebody with a handicap working here. Look at Sophie. She's in a wheelchair. We also have a transgender. We also have a gay man and a lesbian woman here. Yeah, we also have somebody who is non-binary. So now we all adjusted our she, him, her pronouns, you know, to our company line. So for me, sometimes it feels forced. And on the other hand, you know, back in that period, I had a conversation with a girl I portrayed, very beautiful African girl, and she was like, I never had so much opportunities. And I was like, acknowledging the absurdity of it. It's like, it's all of a sudden everybody meets black people, wants black people. And I was like, hey girl, just if the door is even a little bit open, just you kick it in, because at the end of the day, maybe now the skin of your color counts, but in the long run, it will be, you know, your character, your talent, the way you work with people. That's what's going to matter. But if this gets you in the door right now, good for you. So for me, I'm like, in that whole discussion, I'm just like somewhere in the middle, looking at it, slightly critical, but also in a way happy for all the people who get those opportunities. For me, it's mostly, is the right person cast for the right role? And if it is, good for you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think I agree. I think I agree. I don't think that. I just think that we're currently in a very woke version of
Well,
of society.
we're at the backlash of the woke. There was a period where there was no resistance. There's a lot of resistance, and
Yeah.
truth be told, it deserves a little bit of resistance. We need to go back to the middle, people. Jesus Christ. You know, we can still come back to the middle with all the things we've learned. I think things went just a little bit extreme, and extremism leads to more conservatism and more conservative religion as well.
100%.
That is what overly progressive liberal people forget. And that was my point with the abortion as well. This is sacred. This is a right we fought for. Don't be frivolous with it. There's dozens of groups, religious groups, hardcore conservative right groups who want to take that away. And then what? All because you just shouted from the rooftops that you did 5 abortions and you would be happy to have another one. I mean, you catch my drift?
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, this was our first episode.
Yeah.
We covered it all. My God.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we covered a lot.
Yeah.
I'm very curious what Dr. Lecter would think of our conversation.
Yeah, I think that he tends to be kind of in the middle of the both of us, right? Like he tends to bridge a lot of that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't even know what you probably. I probably would be described as a liberal, by liberal progressive, as a straight cis woman, right? And he would be the white man, and you would be the white gay.
Am I white?
Well, you're white passing.
Yeah, so are you. Wait, you did say you're the white woman, I guess. So.
I mean, yeah, if everybody is so looks involved, things are much more complex, but you wouldn't know it if you would meet me in real life and you see the way I express myself and a lot of quote unquote white people always said to me that I speak like an African, so, and technically that is correct because I am North African. But I am white passing, yeah. So because I'm light skinned, as they say. But if the Spanish are white, and I'm not brown, so I'm white passing. My skin color is white, and that's merely a gene thing. But at first impression, you would also go for a white, maybe, you kind of have like, you could be Greek, you could be Balkan, you could be Spanish even. It's hard to pinpoint. Yeah. But okay, then Dr. Lecter would be the official. You see, this is my issue with that. I hate all these terminologies. I'm really a person that is about character. Mm-hmm. I know it's not popular to say it, but I don't care about skin color. I don't care about sexuality. I care about character. That's what I care about.
Yeah. 100%.
But that's thrown out the window. Everything is a trope now. No. It's like that one example with the casting director who said, "Oh, you would be very interesting because you are a Arab blah 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 director." I don't want to be defined by that. I don't like to be put in that box because you don't know what the relationship is with my culture. I'm not, I don't carry religion or culture as my identity. I am my identity. My personality is my identity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not in today's society, right?
Yeah.
And not especially how we're. I
Well,
agree.
if you know, I refuse to play those tropes. You know, I could adjust my bio and say blah 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 blah. I'm an Arab blah 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 director and blah 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 blah, and I would get a ton of jobs right now. And I don't play that game. I think it's hypocritical because I've been Arab all my life, and half the time before everybody got woke, y'all didn't give a fuck about it. Let's be fucking real. You didn't give two shits about it. I had to repeat my name all the time. What is your name? Can you repeat? What? Where does that come from? Yeah, and now it's like, oh, your name is, oh my God, you are Arab, blah, 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 blah. Oh, give me a fucking break.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like there's no point in fighting against it, though. If you feel like that would really change the trajectory of your workflow.
I can't do that because you know, I mean, did I tell you the story about a DOP that you know, my work really dried down when everything was, you know, COVID and vaccinated and not vaccinated. And then I saw how the industry got completely mental about it. And then he came to visit me. And he was like, man, I just got off 2 fucking shoots and it was so horrible. The last day of the shoot, I took a fucking plane to the jungle and I had to stay there for 2 months to get to shake off this horrible shooting. And I was like, what the fuck? What happened? And he was like, yeah, there was a person casted, and that person was friends with the director, and that person was a transgender.
Ooh.
And
Not a transgender.
he said that person, an actor, was a transgender. I don't know transgender woman or transgender man, I don't know. And he was like, but the director knew this person from before that person transitioned. And that person, that director, was directing in the moment and called that person by his or her previous name from their different gender. And somebody outside of their personal dynamic, another actor, started yelling on set and saying, oh my God, you are dead naming him or her, I don't know. And it was an entire drama to the point where the transgender person had to say, this is not up to you to make a drama. We know each other from a previous life. This person called me by this name for half his life. This is not malintent. You're creating a problem where it isn't. So that was a whole dynamic on set. And then he said, I did another shoot with a non-binary person, and then it was constantly drama about the pronouns, you know? And I felt like that he was super stressed out about it, that it created a lot of, you know, discussion and anger and you know, like dogma on set. I was like, damn, I'm not woke enough for this. I don't think I have the patience to be on set and make an honest mistake about a pronoun or a name and then navigate this dynamic. I can't. Like, I just leave me out of it. Fine. I'll rather not work. It's the same with, you know, COVID and the masks. I mean, you know, when COVID happened, I was shooting something and I knew this thing was coming. and I had masks before I even really understood what it was, but I knew it was coming. And I told that same DOP, there's a fucking pandemic coming. And he was laughing with me. And he was like, Jezebel, you need to chill. And then we had the shooting, and there was a second DOP on set that flew in from Italy, which back then in Europe was, the herd, where it all began from Europe. And he was like coughing up a storm on set. And I was flipping my mind out. And I was like, do you need a mask? And I have like B-roll rolling on camera while I was editing that video, where the cameraman and the DOP and the technical crew were laughing with me like, oh, Jezebel thinks there's a pandemic coming. Maybe we should cough a little bit more in her direction. And then the next day I got sick. The artist got sick, the artist's sister got sick, the makeup artist was sick, and the stylist was sick, and we were sick for a month, and we all had COVID. But back then it was said like, oh, it's impossible. COVID wasn't in the country yet, as if COVID waits before the boundaries of the borders of the country to come in, because that's how it was introduced. And then in 1 year, everybody became a fucking vaccine lunatic, where a year before, nobody believed that the pandemic was coming in the first place, and I took it serious, yeah? So then to navigate a set where everybody are like vaccine zealots and are like snitching on people who are not vaccinated, I'm like, this is not a scene for me, I'm sorry. I'm smack dab in the middle, My body, my choice is apparently not something that is happening in this woke world. But I thought my body, my choice. So apparently not then. So then, I understand that a lot of people who didn't get vaccinated in Hollywood just lost jobs, and that was that. And I think a lot of people, and here we can tie the end back to Euphoria, baby. A lot of people took the vaccine. And guess who took the vaccine on Euphoria and is no longer with us?
Angus?
The father of Jacob Elordi.
Oh. That was vaccine related, you think?
Absolutely. Go look at the records. Everybody, tinfoil hats on. Go look at the records of how much ALS diagnoses there are after 2021. They are huge. He took the vaccine, and not only did he take the vaccine, he also pushed people to have it, and he did it on Twitter, and it's all documented. And in less than 5 years, that man is not walking here. And there's a huge explosion of ALS. And that's how we end this conversation. Straight back to Euphoria, baby.
Straight back to Euphoria.
I'm really curious who this audience will be, because they will need to be, I don't know what, but very open-minded.
Yeah, I mean, we're here. Let's see who is interested, if anybody's interested, and yeah. We do this anyways, right? So it's like, why not open up the chat?
Yeah, and I don't really do it for the audience, but you never know when there's audience popping up at some point in this journey. They're probably, and listen, I know that YouTube is a very diverse crowd, and there are plenty of people who probably enjoy our conversation. It's just, yeah.
Oh, we're not just on YouTube. We're on Kick and we're on Twitch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Do you have any last words?
No. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Yeah, what did we say we were doing again actually for next week? I didn't write that down.
Project Hail
Project Hail
Very.
Mary, and Margot Has Money Problems.
Yes, Margaret has money problems.
All right.
Thank you for listening and watching, everybody.
See you guys
Even
again
though
next
we're
week.
speaking through an abyss.
For now. Let's see how this goes. All right.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.